All right. Good evening and welcome. Welcome on a beautiful night and a beautiful day. Roll call, please.
Sean Rondo? Here. Dee Philippus? Here. Michelle?
Here.
Martin? Here. Frazier?
Here.
Wolf?
Here.
And Hitzman.
Here, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we move on, I would like to let the board know that we're going to remove and our audience agenda number 9, closed session, so that we do not have closed session today. Okay,
So we have some very special visitors here today visiting us from Goodings Grove School. I'd like to welcome Ms. Evo to share weather at the board meeting this evening. He is.
All right. Good evening, Homer School Board, Dr. Shafi. My name is Tammy Ebel. I'm one of the PE teachers at Goodings Grove School, along with my teaching partner, Mr. Kiesler, back there. And we're here today to share some information with you about the American Heart Association and recognize some of our top fundraising students with us tonight. A little history about our program at Goodings Grove School. We were checking today, and Goodings Grove has participated with the American Heart Association for 24 years, which is amazing. Mr. Kiesler and I have done it together for the last 9 years at Goodings Grove School, and a lot of our families here tonight have set traditions, and they've done it with these students as well as older brothers or sisters as well. We know that Schilling School also participated in the American Heart Association this year. They met their goals as well as we did at Goodings Grove. In PE class for the month of February, we do different activities. We teach how large their hearts are. Do you guys want to show them? Hold your fist up high, how large their hearts are, what their hearts do in their body, how to find where their heart is pumping, and how to take their pulse, different things like that. We've played different games like Dead Bug Dodgeball, where we talked about breathing in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide, atrium ventricle hoopla, one of the favorites, Rescue 911, when it's important and appropriate to call 911. Through our event, Mr. Kiesler and I talk about and promote signing up to join the Goodings Grove fundraising team. If you go on the American Heart Association website and you join our team, it's free to join. You don't have to fundraise, and there's a lot of wonderful activities for your family, including hands-only CPR that your family can do, things like that. Through our 4 to 5 weeks of activities, we were so fortunate. We had 244 students join our team, which is amazing. We had 72% of our first graders signed up, 68% of our kindergartners, and we also had an additional 10 EC students join our team as well. So we were very happy with our numbers. We could not be happier of how many families signed up, joined the team, whether they fundraised or not. We did several different events at Goodings Grove in February. Our office staff did a lollipop sale for Valentine's Day, which we raised $213. We sold T-shirts from the American Heart Association, which raised an additional $240. And our PTO donated a generous $100 donation as well. All of our teachers and office staff help us promote this event through different virtual backpacks, seesaw messages, different things throughout the month, so we want to thank all of them. Mr. Kiesler and I set our goal at $13,400, and that was based off what we had raised last year, our first year as an ECK1 building. We worked with our heart rep, and we thought that was an obtainable goal. And amazing, our families at Goodings Grove somehow did an amazing job and raised $18,520. So we were very impressed and thankful to all of our families. Now Mr. Kiesler is going to take over and introduce some of our top fundraisers. Thank you.
All right, so we have our top 6 fundraisers up here. They were a big part of our success this year. First off, our top classrooms, so to give some credit to our top classrooms, Fourth place, or technically tied for third, was Miss Murphy and Miss Wagner's first grade classes with 76% of their students that signed up. Mr. Teller's first grade class had 81% of the students sign up. And Mrs. Johnson's first grade class was our winner this year with 85% of their students signed up. We appreciate all the money, but we encourage the kids to sign up because we say that registering, joining the team is important, and any money that follows obviously is a good thing as well. So we had a lot of our students signed up like Miss Ebel said. So, boys, when I say your name, you're gonna kind of give a little wave and a smile, okay? So, our sixth place top fundraiser this year came from kindergarten, Miss Harris's class, Nolan Struess. Give a little wave. Good job. All right, you're a natural. I'm more awkward than you up here. All right. Next, fifth, who actually Colin joined us last year, 1 year ago, but our fifth top fundraiser this year for Miss Blackburn's first grade class was Colin Coach. Give a little wave. Back again. Good job. Our fourth top fundraiser could not be here today, but we still want to honor him. So from kindergarten, Miss Harris's class, Jack Swanberg. Third place from first grade for Miss Wagner's class, Vinny Servadio. And Michael, stand up. Michael in the front there, who's now a couple years out of Goodings Grove, but he was one of our top fundraisers a couple years ago. So he was in this spot just a couple years ago. So thank you for coming. Second was from kindergarten Miss McCarthy's class, Franklin Gabala. And our top fundraiser from Miss Johnson's class in first grade was Owen Orr. So quickly to kind of break down how much these boys raised and then to combine it for our family and compare it to our total. Nolan raised $599. Colin raised $600. Jack Swanberg, $619. Vinny Servadio, $621. Franklin Gabala, $646. And Owen, our top fundraiser, which this is a huge number, he raised $1,103. So with a total of $18,520, these 6 boys and their family raised just under $4,200. So they were a big part of our success. All right, I think that's all we got. Thank you so much for letting us present.
Come up and
Yeah, come on up. We'll get it.
Let's go up this way. We're going to take a picture and give a certificate.
Owen Orr. Congratulations. This is the certificate for you. Okay, come on up here, Frankie. Mr. Costa. Congratulations. Here, do this. Good job, Frankie. Colin? Congratulations. Okay, Vinny? Congratulations. Good job. Nolan? Yeah. And congratulations. Good job.
So if you guys would stand up there and let Mom and Dad take some pictures.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys for visiting us tonight.
Thank you.
And we hope we see some younger siblings in the future.
We'll fix it. Click it back in.
Come
Yeah, basketball. Gotta wait till they come in.
Yeah, why don't you guys come on up front, stand in front of us. You're good, keep going. All right, I'm excited to introduce Coach Gage to talk to us about our ISA state contenders this year.
First one in 18 years since I've been here, so that's a big win for us. I was very proud of these guys. They worked their tails off. We had a strange season, ups and downs. I knew how good they were coming off of coaching most of them last year. Coach Pico and I were very, very excited about this season, knowing how good that they were as seventh graders and what they could do coming in. We started off the season, I gave them a rough game to begin with. That first game was tough. Lamont School that had lost a player the previous year, and we asked them to kind of don the blue and cheer on Lamont while also trying to win the game and be respectful for everybody else. I couldn't have been more proud the way we started that game. The way that they decided that Lamont should get the ball first. The tip came. We held the ball out of respect for the kid that they lost from last year. And our students right here in front of you decided that the way that they wanted to end or to start that game was to give that ball right back. So they just on purpose, they had that intentional turnover to start that. That was a great way to do it. We respectfully all wore blue. That was a kind of a weird start to a season that they ended up doing an excellent job throughout that whole time. Shout out to, I want to make sure that Coach Pico gets his recognition and Coach Parnell, both not here tonight, but I can't do that without them. They are a lot different. They add a lot of different coaching insights that I don't see all the time, and having those guys sitting there and helping me through that was a good thing for me all season. We started out hot. We won a lot of games. We lost a couple that we shouldn't have. We couldn't have gotten hotter right before Christmas break. We won 3 out of 4 games right going into break. 2 of them were very much state contenders that we knew were going to be that way. We lost a close game to Minooka that ended up down at state as well, so we knew how good we were then, only to come back in January to find ourselves a little bit lost, losing, I think, 4 out of the next 5 or 6, and that's where most of our losses came. But we pulled it together. We rallied. I really just kind of let them take the lead on that. They knew that they were better than that. They came to practice after a couple of hard days. They set parameters for themselves and said, hey, we're going to hold ourselves accountable in practice, and if we see this and if we see this, we're going to run as a team. We're going to do these things as a team. And from that point, when they set those parameters and they held each other accountable, we pulled that rope and pulled that ship right back together to where we should have been, winning a couple of tough games at the end. Another one, a little, I'll get my dig on my brother. He got me last year. He went to state last year, beating us in the regional title. We got him the first game of regionals, and we did our job and made sure that we got him back this year. Only to find us with Old Quarry. What were we down? I think we were down 5 with 45 seconds to go, and a lot of teams would give up. And we hit some tough shots and got ourselves into overtime and ended up winning that game to put us on to the next one, only to face a kid that was 6'5", and just a monster beast to hang on to. I know my kids look tall to you here, but the tallest we got over here is 6'2", 6'1", 6'2" over there, and hanging on to 6'5" was a whole nother beast. So they did an excellent job. I couldn't be more proud. We went down to state. We matched up against a tough team. We were never out of the fight all the way down to the end. We just couldn't climb that one last hump. We were down 6 at halftime, and just had a chance to bring it back right away. They fought all the way to the end, and just we didn't pull it out this time. But hopefully this team right here, I'll never forget them for setting a tone, and hopefully they set a trend for what Homer basketball is going to be for the next several years to come, knowing what's coming up. We've got some good talent coming through, but these guys will always be the ones that set that tone, and I'll remember them for that. My first trip ever down there, so they're near and dear to me forever. So very nice job, guys. I couldn't be more proud. Nice work.
Okay, you don't get to move yet. We have a certificate for you. You wanna
Call us the names. Do you have Nico Promozic? Nathan is not here. I'll take that one. Okay, clap it up for Nathan. Vincent Delfiaco. Tyler Lanzi. Drew Mandros is not here. I'll take it on him. Clap it up for Drew. Migs Boinafay, not here either. I'll take that one. Tyler Pass.
Noah Hendricks.
Michael Diorio is not here.
Tyler O'Neill.
Vincent Calzaretta is not here.
William Heisler.
William Heisler. John Scarpa's not with us tonight. Cullen Consini. Took me 2 years to figure that name out, but I got it.
Jake Gage.
Thank you very much.
Can you guys come around this way a little bit and let parents take pictures? Real quick.
Just scooch over here.
Center up, center up.
Oh, Brody.
Did we miss some?
I'm sorry.
Do you have Brody?
I do have Brody.
There it is. Brody.
You got your chest.
Dr. Shop as well.
All good. Come on. Ready? 1, 2. Hang on. Yeah, sorry, you have to take one more with.
Give me a neighbor. I'm in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Great season.
Congratulations.
Great season. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate
Thank you, guys.
Put it on the way out. Put it on the way out. Put it on the way out.
I got you on the camera. Kids watch your blogs or we have cameras, you dummy.
It's exciting, you know?
Little remodel. He'll be here for basketball. There was, I don't know.
Are we all good then? All set up? All right, we do not have anyone that wants to communicate or speak to the board today, so we're gonna go on to number 4, consent agenda. So, Al Perkins.
Everybody. Al Perkins, Assistant Superintendent for Business. I wanted to update the board on the February 2025 district financial performance. So in February, the district expended $6.07 million and received $764,000. That resulted in a decrease to our fund balance of $5.31 million. We started the month with $43.92 million and ended the month with $38.61 million. Operating expenditures during February totaled $4.68 million. That's $307,000 lower than expected for the month, and operating expenditures for February of 2025 were up $79,000 or 1.73% from the same month last year. The 1.73% change stems primarily from an increase of $117,000 in salaries and benefits and $43,000 in other expenditures, which is primarily special education outplacements. And those were offset by a $77,000 reduction in supplies as compared to last year. Revenues excluding the capital projects fund for the month were $734,000, which is $140,000 lower than expected for the month and $11,000 lower than what the district collected last February. Fiscal year to date, as of February 28th, revenues are $2.17 million lower and expenditures are $2.06 million lower than anticipated. So the expenditures are obviously lower, primarily due to conservative budgeting, and we are seeing some additional expenditures coming out at the very end of the year here. You'll see some of the 460 items today that'll kind of give an example of that. And the revenues still continue to be on that lower end of what was expected because of the timing issues that I explained before and how I calculate the monthly budget for the revenues, but that should sort itself out in May and June. So overall, we're doing well. We're under on expenditures, and hopefully revenue should sort out before the end of the year. Any questions specifically on?
No, I like the idea or the comment of conservative budgeting, so that's great. Any other questions or anything? No? All right.
Thanks, Al.
All right, thank you. We're seeking a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Roll call?
Shannon? Yes. Deep Lucas? Yes. Duchette?
Yes.
Martin? Yes. Frazier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
And Hipperman.
Yes, motion passes. Item 5, informational reports, Homer Council report. Hello, ladies.
You guys took a different route, actually.
You okay?
Oh, no, you're good, you're good. Good evening, everyone.
Board members, Dr. Shafi, all our administrators, colleagues, staff. We want to say congratulations, even though these groups left, to our American Heart Association fundraisers. We know lots of time to fundraise, and to those teachers, Ms. Ebel, Mr. Kiesler, Ms. Grady, and Mr. Tankstrang at Schilling as well. We know it takes a lot of planning and time, so those teachers go above and beyond for their students, and so exciting to hear the numbers that they put forth. Also to Mr. Gage and Mr. Peacold, we know that they're 3rd and 4th grade teachers at Butler. They're also our coaches for that 8th grade team that had such a successful run. We know it takes years of, getting your program going and summer camps and all those things, and to be able to celebrate with a run like that is amazing. So congratulations to them as well as the team. We'd also like to congratulate our newly tenured teachers here in Homer 33C. Dr. Portwood sent an email recently. It was really exciting to see a long list. So thanks for sharing that, and congratulations again to those teachers. Again, we'd like to shout out to our support staff and the negotiating team as well as the members. We hope we have a possibility of a ratification soon of their new contract. And then also a huge, we got this, not only to our entire, all the employees at Homer 33C, but especially to our certified staff. We got this. 3rd quarter ends this Friday. That is crazy. And spring break. So I know everybody's ready for a little bit of a break and right back at it for 4th quarter.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to give a shout out and a thank you to our PTO at the Homer Junior High for hosting the Meet the Candidate Night. It was a great event, a lot of information, very informative, lots of tough questions that were asked. So thank you to those of you that were there and answered those tough questions. We appreciate that. And in saying that, we're not sure how this board meeting is going to go next month, so we want to make sure that we say thank you to Karen and to Kevin for your support and your service and everything that you've done for Homer through the years and for the teachers and for just Homer in general. We really appreciate your support and everything you've done, so
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck. We'll miss you. Yeah.
Anything for us? Not at all.
Great.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you. Okay, Homer Support Staff Council report.
Good evening, Board. Scott Mason, President of Support Staff Council. Good to see you. Last month, we were looking at a lot of work in the coming days, and on behalf of the support staff, I'd like to thank you for putting forth a strong contract and one that our members approved overwhelmingly. So we truly appreciate that, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate the support of the support staff and all of our members, Dr. Shoppy, Dr. Portwood, as well. They worked hard. I'm sure Al put in some long hours here and there. So, yeah, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hi, Erin Seacek, Vice President. We want to say, again, to repeat what Scott said, thank you, everybody, for your hard work with the negotiations. We appreciate it. And thank you to the teachers for all your support. That was great. And we want to wish Mrs. DeFilippis and Mr. DeChef the very best in the future. Thank you for everything you did for 33C. It means a lot to everybody in this room and to everybody in the neighborhood. So thank you for that. And Mrs. Chandarana and Mr. Wolf, good luck at the election.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wish you luck.
Anything for us? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You're up now.
Actually, Candace Gaza, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, board members and community. I'm Candace Gassa, principal of Schilling School, and I'm happy to provide you with a school update. This year, our theme is In the Groove, so I thought I would touch on some of our strengths and how we are exceptionally groovy. I wanted to first start with collective efficacy at Schilling, and this is really across all contexts, but especially during our, or their collaboration during our priority standards meetings. From pre-tenure to tenure, all staff are equally engaged and invested in talking about what the expected outcomes look like for students and student learning. At Schilling, we're focused on writing, that reading and writing connection. Our consultant, Kelly Dubeck, did stress how important that writing piece is. In her words, she says, if you really want to move the ticker, you emphasize writing, or the needle, she says. I need to quote her right. So the teachers are working hard on embedding more opportunities to write. So that's reading and responding and daily quick writes. So if you come to our school, you'll see writing in our hallways. You'll hear teachers talking about writing, and the conversations are really positive in regards to just the improvement that they're seeing, not only in their writing abilities, but overall literacy as well. After each common assessment at these priority standard meetings, teachers talk and discuss, and they select 1 to 2 examples or exemplar models from these assessments that students take. So I sat in meetings last month. It was second grade meetings, so they reviewed students' responses. These were writing responses, and the 2 that were selected were students who struggled in writing at the beginning of second grade. They couldn't even write a sentence, and now their work was the exemplar model for that standard. So what success should look like, or what proficiency looks like for that standard. So incredible growth there. So, although Schilling isn't classified as exemplary by the state yet, I do want to note, I think it's important just to note how impactful the teachers have been on student achievement. Schilling is unique in the fact that we are a title school, so we have, according to the state, we have more classified students as at risk. We also have a high percentage of English language learners, so we have about 1 full classroom of English language learners at each grade level. level. So despite these academic challenges, because we view diversity as a strength, of course, we are still comparable with the district. So when those those benchmarks come out, I'm looking to see how Schilling is performing in comparison to the district, and I am thrilled, and the staff needs to hear this as well, like I said, despite those challenges that we do face. And then in the areas where we might not be as comparable, like in second grade, last year they came in below average in reading. We scored at the 39th percentile in math, but as third graders this year at the winter benchmark, we're at the 60th percentile. So this is a testament to the teachers. There aren't any special programs, resources that they've done. This is all their hard work in raising the bar for these kids and just good teaching, so I commend them. So with all this achieving comes some celebrating, which Schilling does exceptionally well too. We've reached or exceeded several goals this year, so I'll briefly touch on some of the most recent. Recently, Schilling reached and exceeded their MAP winter benchmark goals. So we rewarded them with a fancy special restaurant-style serviced lunch at the Schilling Cafe, which we got great reviews. The kids actually wrote me little notes that we were a 5-star restaurant there at the Schilling Cafe. So that was a lot of fun. We also exceeded our Kids' Heart Challenge with raising over $17,000 for the American Heart Association. So really proud, just of all that investment there. And we had 35 students complete Finn's mission. And our coach, Tasha Ohotsky, she put together a St. Patrick's Day themed escape room for our students as a reward, and it was definitely loved by the kids. And I don't know, is she here? Yeah, she's equally invested in our school and students. So not only does she do those extras and go and beyond, but she's providing professional development. I'm not sure if you've heard about her DoorDash PD. So at Schilling, she's provided DoorDash PD in the areas of goal setting, gamification, and quick writes. So thank you to Tasha as well. We also just celebrated music and arts in our school month with a second grade musical, which was a tribute to music across the decades, which was a big hit with our students and families. And Schilling staff is also always up for a challenge and celebrating as well. So from small celebrations like school spirit weeks to larger ones like our first volleyball fundraiser, our staff puts in the extra time to connect with students and each other both inside and outside of school. Recently, we had about 30 staff participate in a January Journey Challenge that focused on health and wellness with close to $500 in prizes that were donated from VIP Nails and Homer Glen and Jeffrey Lamort. Currently, staff are competing for the title of Cup Stacking Champion and will face the winning student at our assembly at the end of this week. And there's been many more events recently in this year, such as the 100th Day, Read Across America. District office hosted a fabulous St. Patrick's Day themed party for our students in our specialized instruction program. Tim just might have been dressed up as the leprechaun. I'll let him share about that. So we know that test scores only tell part of our story. At Schilling, there are many ways for students and staff to get involved, have fun, and create memories, and there's no shortage of participation. The last area I want to touch on is student agency. Out of all my years so far in education, at the heart of this year is student agency. With the help of our student leadership team, so this is the first year that we have a student leadership team, our students are learning what it means to be a leader and an active member of a community, so their voice counts. Our fourth grade leadership team is sponsored by Ms. Grady Simpson and Mr. Tangstrand, and we work together with our students on important school topics. We get feedback from them, they gather feedback, they report out and communicate bi-monthly goals or messages to homerooms. On top of their weekly recorded video missions for our school, the newly added Ramp to Success, being the welcoming committee for new students and making decisions pertaining to an upcoming school unity project after visiting Homer Junior High's No Place for Hate, they are learning the true meaning behind service learning. Because of them, we hosted our first annual Schilling Serves for Our Cause volleyball game, staff versus the community members. Although our staff lost the game, it was a big win for bringing the community together and raising just about $4,000 for Shady Oaks Camp. The game was awesome, and it was all ran by our students. So we had student DJs, student announcers, refs, students at the concession stands, and more. They should be so proud of themselves and for of their work and for inspiring others. And the student agency does not stop here. A third grade Schilling student, Amelia Burbank, was inspired by a YouTube video to improve our playground with more wheelchair accessible or inclusionary equipment. She advocated for change to her teacher, to her mom, so we brought her in on the playground project in which she spoke to Tim, myself, the project managers, and contractors. And she even attended the Homer Glen Township Abilities Awareness Committee so she could speak to them about her goals. So Amelia's mom and myself were behind her, and her mom is supporting her in organizing a community garage sale as a fundraiser. And I have many more examples of this. I mean, this just caught on with the students at Schilling School. I know Hadley, they're just going to come up to you and they are full of ideas. So get ready. I mean, the sky's the limit. So it's changed the culture really at Schilling School, and I just hope they continue to feel seen, valued, and heard. And just as my colleague shared here, I feel like we blinked and now it's fourth quarter, so we're preparing for our IAR test. We have a special surprise IAR assembly when we return from break. We've begun planning for next year, exploring new schedules that will address the accelerated placement considerations and changes or implementation. We're also looking at COTAT in fourth grade as well, which I'm excited about. So, and as we end out the year, we're going to put positive choices first and put for positive behavior. So every week that we increase positive behavior, I'm putting that golf ball, and hopefully we make it closer to the hole, and we'll be celebrating positive behavior at the end of the year. So in closing, I just want to thank our parents, our PTO, just for all their support and partnership and sending us a bunch of happy and groovy kids each and every day. So I'm truly one lucky principal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job.
All right, it's really my turn now, I'm sorry.
Jump up there.
I was just so excited. And now we're going to follow such great reports for all the great things that are happening, so we'll kind of continue that theme tonight. So, Tim Russ, Director of Buildings and Grounds, our March report. So lots of things that I always kind of put on this list that I pull from our work order system, but you know, some of the bigger items are annual kitchen exhaust cleaning. We had a domestic hot water pump replaced at the junior high. You can see all sorts of HVAC items going on, pumps replacements, actuators, exhaust fans, all sorts of things going on. Our new VRF system that the board approved several months ago is connected to our building automation system this past month, so that project's fully integrated now. And you can see some new occupancy handles at Goodings Grove, similar to those that we did for the staff bathrooms at Schilling, kind of trying to be consistent across the building before we get ready for our door replacement project over the coming spring break at that particular building. We had a couple of fifth grade washroom stall repairs we were able to take care of in-house with our maintenance staff. Some other repairs that you can see here that were made across the buildings. One of these is a pretty large-scale surge protector that's on one of our electrical panels at Schilling. That work that normally would have cost us for an electrician close to $12,000 we were able to do on a Saturday in-house and get that. We waited a long time for the part, but we got it done. You'll see miscellaneous. We had that rain about 3 weeks ago. We had some miscellaneous small roof repairs that needed to be made. We're still finishing one in the gym over at William E. Young. And then you can see a couple other things here. We're looking at a hot water heater replacement coming up at Butler, but we're investigating a different method of looking at that room so small. So we're trying to figure out what we can do to make it better for us moving forward too. I mentioned a few months ago the transportation hydraulic lifts. Our staff, our mechanics fixed that in-house. We're waiting on parts for the third lift, or excuse me, the other lift in Bay 3 that's coming, and then that work will be done by the contractor that you guys approved last month's meeting. It took a lot of time this month getting ready for summer, really looking at our part-time worker staff. So you'll see those recommendations tonight. We have 14 of those workers ready to go. I'll have 2 more next month that we weren't quite able to get all their information in on time. And then you'll see tonight as well, we spent a lot of time with our head custodians at both of these buildings and some of our custodial staff in the evening looking at the job descriptions and kind of looking at what's going to happen when we open up this new facility, who's going to take care of these new classrooms. You guys kind of saw the size of that tonight as we walked through it. So, you know, talking about those tasks, what specifically needs to be done in all those rooms, and really creating job-specific sort of task-specific descriptions so that they know an art room is different from cleaning a gym, right? So there's different uses for rooms. And then you could see some of these upcoming items coming up over spring break, you know, I'll talk about next month. The construction project, I'll kind of go through this quickly since we were already out there today, but you can see a lot of these things happening for those of you that weren't with us. Windows being installed, the roofing work, the roof drains, all those things taking place, bless you, and, continuing to move forward. Most of the masonry work is obviously done, so getting all that washed. And then we're looking to get that cafeteria floor poured on Monday next week as they continue to dry that out. And you'll also see while the kids are gone next week, a lot of the cranes lifting some of the new rooftop units onto the gym, onto the cafeteria area, and getting those all in place while the kids aren't here. We also had a chance this month to work together. Our administration team worked with our architects and our contractors to look at the graphics, the final graphics for different places around the new building. And then finally, you can see that Monday, we started, last month you approved that change order to the project for the mansard roofs and panels around both buildings. That started on Monday this week. So we're picking strategic areas that do not impact our school day around this campus. And then you could see all the other things that are coming up this month, a lot of interior work, a lot of those items that I mentioned on our tour this afternoon. Some pictures from this morning in case those of you haven't seen. We had some of the glass, starting to be installed there in our curtain wall there in the front window. Our gym, you can see the crane lifting the insulation up on the roof. Our north end view from this morning. Our media center, you can kind of see, this is where the circulation desk is going to go. And so you can kind of tell where that graphic, I'll show you guys the graphic momentarily, and then all that natural light coming in to the library. It'll look really nice.
It doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, it's not from what you guys just saw. No, not at all, especially space-wise. This is our kitchen. I know our food service is here tonight. They're excited about that. And then the most, probably the coolest thing, that glass started to go in this morning. So you can see the glass starting to kind of take shape. Those are so heavy, those panels, when they lift those in. Just really cool to kind of watch them, get that done. This is our gym. I mentioned the floor was poured about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. You can see all those windows are in, kind of using it as a little bit of a storage since that roof's done. And then our corridor, the 6th grade corridor, Module C. You can see some of that drywall work. An art classroom, and then the exterior garage. They're connecting that garage, getting that ready to go with some electrical inside as well. And then I mentioned that mansard roof project. This is right behind these windows here out back of the administration center. They're getting that project started as well. This was the graphics for the new gym. So you can kind of get an idea of what our new gym, you saw that wall. These are the 2 doors that go into the cafeteria. So you kind of see that nice big graphic with our school colors, kind of bringing those colors in from the cafeteria that we're having in that mural, and also looking at, wall pads, the length of the gym. This is the side of the gym that our score table and chairs would go on when we're having athletic events and things like that. So there's plugs in the floor and everything like that ready to go. And then our bleachers are telescopic bleachers. So when we have PE, those will be primarily in, and then we have events, we can bring those out. People are able to access that second level, that mezzanine level. Our fitness center. And then this will be the media center. You kind of saw that curvature and then that flat wall. This is actually the graphic. We kind of changed up. Our team liked some of the other color options, so we changed some of those options in kind of the last meeting we had. And then tonight I wanted to take a little time to explain some of the 460 purchasing approval items. So I kind of reversed this a little bit. I'm going to basically give you kind of the synopsis, and then I'm going to show you each item a little bit more in depth so that you know what we're talking about and what we're actually getting for those services. So the first is a project authorization to look at specifically architectural and engineering services for a large-scale painting project at the junior high. What this project would include is all of the services to put this project out for bid, the construction monitoring, all that type of stuff with our TRIA. So the project would include electrostatic painting of all of our building lockers between Hadley and Homer Junior High School, including the band lockers, the locker rooms. They're due for that. And we're installing new lockers in all these locations, and it's just simply going to make sense to make those lockers match throughout the building. We're also looking at all of the high metal deck beams and metal decking and beams in the roofs and the ceilings in some of these locations. We have the band room, wood shop, classroom, locker rooms, and also the Homer Junior High existing gym. So looking at all those spaces, the paint's about 42 years old. It's peeling in some places and it needs to be painted. So this is just an opportune time to get that done while these spaces are all getting changed around and refreshed anyways. Our existing gym, this would be our existing gym, so looking at repainting the walls, repainting the ceiling, taking care of some other items in there that we just are obsolete at this point, and then really refreshing the gym with new wall pads, new floors, some new graphics, really bringing it home to try to make it equal to our other gyms across the district and the new one that we're building. The second project, the second project is at, it would be another project authorization for our consulting firm Inspec to continue the design, the bidding services, and oversee the engineering of a parking lot addition to Goodings Grove. So the new parking lot essentially would go in this area here in the back. We'd fence this all off since our new playground is here, and we'd make sure, you know, that this was going to hold about 50 spots. So that's what we're kind of planning for. We also are going to look at replacing this front section. This front section is due for a full replacement. While we do that work, there's also some drainage issues. There's a history of some drainage issues within these two courtyards of the building. Therefore, while we're doing this work, we're going to go ahead and upsize, or potentially, upsize the sewers in the front of this lot to support that drainage so that it can drain properly, so we don't have those flooding events taking place when we get that heavy rain. We waited on this west side because we do anticipate in the next several years, you know, we do anticipate putting on several classroom addition to Goodings Grove. So it doesn't quite make sense, and thanks to Dr. Shoppy really for pointing that out, it doesn't quite make sense for us to do this just yet because we're gonna have trucks going through there. We're gonna have trucks adding on to the building potentially. So that's the second project authorization, simply for new playground, or new parking lot in the front, ripping out all that playground, or ripping out all that, the next one on my mind, sorry. Ripping out all that parking lot, expanding the parking lot, and then also going to our other grade schools, Schilling, Young, Butler, fixing the cracks, seal coating and restriping all those lots. So that project entails all of that work. The next project is new mansard metal roof systems on the interior courtyards at Goodings Grove. A few years ago, we used the maintenance grant from the state of Illinois, same one we're using for this upcoming playground enhancement, and we did the perimeter roof, mansard roof metal systems, and we installed those around the building. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't take care of the courtyards, so we're taking care of the courtyards. And this project would take care of the courtyards, and they would match 100% to the outside. Finally, this one's a little bit more involved. You'll remember this was my slide from the December 2024 board meeting when you guys approved us to apply for the Illinois State Maintenance Grant. At that time, we shared that we were going to use the money for our playground at Schilling School. So we did just hear back a few weeks ago, actually, from the state that we were awarded the money. So it's time to kind of put this part of the project forward and get this approved for this coming summer. So if you recall at the time when I was starting to talk about the playground, we've done a lot of work, as Ms. Gassa mentioned, with faculty, herself, the building administration, and even students and parents who've had involved in this process. So really looking at the current mulch fiber system that's in place, the drain line that runs the length of that is clogged with debris from the mulch simply just decaying over the last several years. This playground was installed and finished in 2012. So all of that mulch has just been disintegrating and it builds up in the bottom and essentially has clogged all those drain lines. So our head custodian goes out there every day to see if it's still frozen. And many times we're limited, and Ms. Gassa can supplement my, what I'm saying, but a lot of times we're left with only having blacktop recess or being left inside. And it's really a challenge for that building. There's also limited accessibility. A couple years ago, we installed an ADA swing here on this side of the playground. However, there's no ADA apron entrance for the students to get in. This project would include adding accessible entrances along this side so that students could gain access. If they were coming down this sidewalk from the front, they could go right here rather than having to traverse half of the area. I mentioned the third point already, and then our Goodings Grove. You guys approved about 2 years ago, we did a large project to expand our playground over at Goodings Grove. We included turf in that project, and we've seen great success with that. It's opened up that window of time that we can use that playground. It's a useful facility, and it keeps our kids outside and engaged, with their friends and peers. Just probably the minimal point, but we regularly replenish these playgrounds. It costs the district money to replenish them with mulch all the time. So I'm doing that twice a year. Not this cost, but it certainly adds up with all the playgrounds over time, and the labor to do that work. So I just wanted to talk about some of those and why, we feel the turf would be the best option for the playground. So I'll kind of dig into this a little bit more and kind of hurry up because I know I'm probably getting annoying. But some of these aprons here, this is what so these red ones is what we'd add here, and we'd add another larger one here in the center, okay? And then all this would be cut out. So they have to physically cut around all of our existing equipment to fit this in. It's a lot of work. And then stitch all that in around our equipment. This is what Candace was talking about with adding some more objects. We're talking about a bank shot. We're talking about a couple other potential things down the line. But the biggest thing here is getting more accessibility, having it more useful for a longer period of time during the school year, and really making it safe as possible for all of our students that use it. And that's where this really comes into play. So that's pretty much, what I have for tonight. I don't think you want to see the ejector pump. I could take you downstairs if you guys would like. But I did explain that one last month verbally. So there's quite a bit here, but we do have summer coming up, and this is the month that, we see a lot of those projects. We start planning for those. So I just wanted to make sure that we got these items to you this evening. Are there any, and we have some personnel recommendations. So I did mention the 2 FTE custodians to cover the new facility. They would start after July 1st. And then we have the 14 part-time student workers. I'll have 2 more at the next meeting. Those will begin on or after May 19th to start helping pack some of the media centers.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So, first of all, this is phenomenal. Your whole presentation's phenomenal. And let's go back to the expansion project. As a board, we had a tour before this board meeting. And I don't know how everybody else felt. I was just blown away at how wonderful it is in the progress. I understand it's on schedule, which is really great. I know that's kind of early, but I'm hoping that when it does get done in the fall, that maybe it's open to the community to come and take a look to see. Oh, you have been? Okay, I think that's awesome. I want to go back to the first part is I know the roof repairs you mentioned at Young and at, where was the other, what was the other one? At Butler. Is that minor? Is that a concern? Whenever we hear roof leaks or roof repairs,
So what's going
from
on?
past experience, it's just not a.
That was our first meeting, Karen. Here we are, 8 years later.
It could be just something that's minor, or is there an issue, or?
The young roof, I will say, is the shingles are getting blown, some of them blow out. It's very windy out in that area, and you start to see some of the nails come undone. The roof's going on 13, 14 years old, so you'll start to see some of those come out. So his most recent repair over room 31 was to refasten shingles that from that wind we had recently had blown off.
All right, so that's minor.
And then there's one in the gym that we had a similar issue with around one of the air handling units. They're gonna go and seal around that air handling unit.
Okay.
At Butler, it was a seam. That roof was not, the gym roof was not replaced in that last roof replacement, just the shingled roof was.
Okay.
So we still have some work to do on that roof. In a few more years from now, we'll do a restorative coating. But they're very minor leaks.
Okay.
They're not.
Is that an old roof then? No?
That one would be probably original to that building, yeah.
No, I don't know that's true. It blew off in a windstorm.
Oh, really?
It might have been repaired, but I don't think it was redone.
They wouldn't have replaced the whole thing, I don't think.
Well,
We can go
part
back
of it
and
was
look.
hanging off another part of the building, so I'm pretty sure it was right to a point.
I'm sure we just patched it. When was it, like how will Duck City then?
So either way, we'll the one that they had was very minor.
No, that's fine. I was
Yeah.
just, because roofs have been an issue in the past. So
Sure.
it's just whenever you see roof leaks,
So I will
we're,
say, you'll see next month, we'll have a project, I'm gonna take more time, but next month you'll see a project that we'll probably put forward for Schilling. We're gonna start Al and I have done a great job of budgeting for the next 7 years. You'll see that we're gonna do some roof restorations at all of our locations over the next 7 years.
Before you got here, Al used to on the roof with a hose.
I heard. He had cameras and
Sure,
everything.
still, yeah, pretty amazing.
Was that all your questions, Liz?
Yeah,
Anything
phenomenal
else?
presentation. I don't know if anybody else had any questions,
Well,
Chris? or-
just on these projects, do we have any, so I realize you're just asking for permission to move forward with the engineering and the whole, but do we have any idea how much these individual line items are going to actually cost?
The two, the TRIA and the
The big
inspect,
ones, yeah.
around, yeah, we do.
Would you be willing to share that information?
The top one would be, not to exceed 10% of the project cost essentially, so it would be about 400,000. And the bottom one, the inspect, if I recall correctly, that was closer to
That's 700.
800,000.
800,000?
Yeah, I'd have to get back with the exact numbers that we had written down on my memory, but I think that's about right.
So that includes, the inspect project includes the additional spaces at Goodings, and then all the other ones?
All the other elementary schools, seal coating and striping, and the, whatever repairs need to be made.
Okay. And then what's the timeline for all of these things? Are we talking about, not for starting
Sure.
but actual work?
So these two things are sensitive because I need to get them out for bid to establish a timeline.
Okay.
That's why we need to approve the project authorization.
And just to be clear, they actually are, we've never brought project authorizations to the board before. We've always just signed off on them and just told you about them in the
Yeah.
past as part of what projects we're working on list. I'm trying to be even more transparent and bring everything to you guys, so this is the first time you're seeing
I
it.
was gonna say, I'm glad you said that,
Yeah.
because I know we sort of talk in like the thought cloud of we think we're gonna go do a thing, and then you guys sort of bring that back when it's, I like the intermediate stuff.
So we're trying to make sure you're aware of it, but the fact is, we've already signed off on those two, and the one is already out to bid. So just wanted to make sure you're clear on that.
But it's transparent, but it's transparent.
You sound like my wife. Well, I've already remodeled the kitchen.
But I'm letting you know
I really
now.
want your opinion.
Yeah, I'm really-
But we would have, whatever comes of that, we would still have to bring you for approval that bidder, so it's
Okay.
not like,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great job.
Thank
Can I
you.
just ask
Go
for the
ahead.
playground, will
Sure.
we be able to add items on?
We still will be able to. It's a little bit more tricky, but we still are able to. And some of the areas we're looking at aren't all within the turf parameters. They're kind of along the side, they're kind of on the blacktop. Thank you very much. And so, but we could still add items to the turf.
And the Goodings that we put in, it's a year and a half old now, because it was like the fall of 2023. So it's been through almost 2 full winters, and I haven't been out there actually.
I think it looks great. We're fixing up the edging around the edges, but other than that, the interior playground where all this would be great. What's good about the Schilling one is it has cement already in place around the entire perimeter, where we didn't have that at Goodings. They kind of had to create that. So this is going to really be a nice touch to have that curb already built in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's a necessity. I've been on the playground several times, so. yeah.
Anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Renee, special services.
Good evening. Good evening to everybody in attendance, anybody at home watching. Just want to give you an update as well. Our special ed committee created an action plan at the end of last year. I did a brief update in October and just thought I'd update again this month. So that yellow column there has everything that we've updated since October. That master PD calendar, we're already looking into next year. We have a huge variety of different PDs that we've tracked over the course of the year for the variety of staff that we have, that we've already started planning for the 25-26 school year. Lisa's department actually just shared the calendar with us, so we started plugging in items already. It's a good feeling. The Master Special Education Staff Resource Guide, we've continued to add to that this year, and the plan is just to keep doing that. If we come across different items or staff recommends something like, hey, why don't we put that in there? We're continuing to add to that so that everything's kind of in one place for everyone. Our annual needs assessment, as it says. We send this out annually, and it's that time of the year. It actually went out today at 5. And we always review those results. I do personally as they come in, and ultimately at the end, just to check things out, prioritizing things if people are recommending anything, seeing if there's anything anybody is praising about and or has questions about and or has ideas to improve. So we're always looking at those. And the last one on this page is new employee orientation. Again, starting to plan for the 25-26 year. We have pretty much kept the same training in place, but again, every year we take a look at it, get some feedback, and see if there's anything we can tweak. Any questions on those? Okay. The next one here was IEP training and resources. Again, I shared that we did a lot of Family Matters. In October, I shared that we were sending out a lot of presentations available through that company, I guess I should say, for parents to watch, learn various things about IEPs, whether it's terminology, all of the acronyms we use, dates and times for different things. So what we've done is we do want to continue to plan either virtual or live presentations or training for parents, kind of looking at when are the best days or times to do that, and looking at even the topic of what we would like to train or educate parents on, and that'll help us determine, should we have it in person? Would it be better virtually? Should we combine it and live stream it? So we're thinking through some of those things, and we already have secured, Sarah Ward is absolutely amazing. She's a guru out there for executive functioning training. We have set her up for staff next year already, October 10th, and she's also going to come in the evening on October 10th to present to parents about the same thing. So very excited to have her coming in to speak to parents and staff. Vertical articulation and team collaboration time. We continue to work on this with principals, with Lisa, Ms. Figueroa, with some of our dates and times. What can we do? How can we work together to maybe get some of these times for staff to get together in between different presentations? We had 4th and 5th grade meet, for example. We'll have 6th and 7th meeting on April 2nd. They found that very helpful, just to talk about the caseloads for next year. And we want to, after going through this year, want to try to evaluate the need for doing this with 1st to 2nd grade, knowing that they're transitioning to a new building as well, whether that would be helpful for those case managers to get together as well. The next one is MTSS communication. We continue to be a part of this as a special education department. We'll continue to be a part of that. We had shared some ideas with Ms. Figueroa, and we'll continue to assist and work through that process to see if there's anything we can improve or support the MTSS process with. In case parents or anybody listening doesn't know, through that process is when students may become eligible for special education services. We tried tiered levels of supports with more intensive supports as we go on, as students need that need, hoping to prevent that need. But if the accommodations and supports aren't providing the progress that we want to see, they could be evaluated for special education services. So we are in that mix as well. Our Thrive program, our trauma SEL programming that we started this year, we continue to monitor and support it. I will say again, they have been absolutely amazing. All of the staff in there, even the staff in those buildings supporting them. So we're still working on staff. We have some PD that they've offered to go through. Also looking at the curriculum, making sure that we're maintaining that for the students best we can to stay with their grade level peers. And for the 25-26 program, or 25-26 school year, we're going to have to start planning for that Thrive program moving on to Hadley. As of right now, if the students that are in the program continue, they'll be at the age that they'll be arriving to Hadley that year. So we definitely have to start thinking through that. Any questions about those updates? Okay. So different action items. We have several on here that are complete, but we had several within that framework that are continuing. They're done annually. Some of the other things we want to continue to work on is to collaborate with Assistant Superintendent Figueroa to look at different resources that we need for some of our special ed programs. We talked a little bit about it. In fact, I have it in the last bullet there. Working with our instructional staff in classrooms. We, of course, want the students to work on their grade level curriculum. Those students in those classrooms may be functioning at a lower level, so we want to close that gap. So it'll be working with Ms. Figueroa to find items that resources we can use to make sure that we're able to meet the kids' needs, but at the same time challenge them to reach their grade level peers and the expectations. A lot of collaborating with Assistant Superintendent Figueroa. We've also been talking about our executive functioning curriculum. That's gonna eventually allow all staff to teach all students in the district that struggle with those kind of executive functioning skills. Some of them they are important life skills that many of us just pick up naturally, but many students struggle with planning things out. What order do I have to get this in? When does that report due? How do I plan that time to make sure I get it done on time? Focusing their attention to do that, being able to switch gears in the middle of something. Wait a minute, wait, what are we doing? Wait, what's everybody doing? Maybe they didn't catch that we're shifting to a different activity in a classroom. And just being able to juggle all the tasks that are associated in life and in school. So we do have a few curriculums we've looked at. We think we have one we'd like to use. We're gonna start with our staff at Hadley in the junior high probably, knowing that we want them to try to use part of their school day to work on executive functioning skills. These really do have to have time to be taught. They won't naturally get them if they struggle with them. So we're hoping to do that during their school day. And again, our instructional students are gonna be included in that too. A lot of them struggle with that same thing. So for this first year, we're gonna try it out with that, hoping that eventually we will, we have that Sarah Ward coming in for executive functioning training. So at least we can educate staff about that. And then eventually work toward to get some kind of curriculum in so that we can support students either during their win time, just to support those skills as well for them. Dr. Portwood mentioned in the last presentation, his last presentation, that our special education numbers have increased over time. I know 2 years back I had presented that we're anticipating large increases in special education numbers. A lot of that was supposedly related to COVID. But looking at recent research, and I think I agree with all of these, they're saying a lot of the increase in special education numbers comes from the fact that there's less stigma associated with special education supports than there has been in the past, which I think is a good thing. I also believe we have improved identification, knowledge, just of identifying students. I think MTSS procedures have made us better at that and also made us more knowledgeable of what we need to look for students. I also think the MTSS procedures lead to the next bullet. Parents, because of that process, are now more informed of processes or things out there that we can do to support students, so they're more educated. I did look back in 2021 to 25, they were expecting 1 million students over 5 years to be qualifying for special education. And I think that's kind of coming to fruition. There were some setbacks. The next two bullets talk about different setbacks that they've seen in research that they think might also be lending itself to some of these increases. Increased screen time for really young children could be setting them back more for some of the academic skills and reading and things that they may not be doing that they've done more so in the past. It doesn't mean screen time can't be used for that. And there's also been a heightened aggressive behaviors in classrooms or uncontrolled behaviors, more so than we've seen in the past. So those two things also, on top of all these other things, I think have led to an increase. And then I did want to note that one of the largest year-over-year increases that we're seeing a higher rate of identification for is autism. So that continues to get larger and larger as well. So I think all of those things kind of lead to those numbers. Still something we have to watch for. I just wanted to share those. We are excited to post for next year, so just want to give a public service announcement that we've got our postings out there, not only for our extended school year or ESY. I listed some of the positions here. I also have the website on here, so if you're interested in applying, please feel free to go to the site. Not only do we have those posted, we also have our positions for next school year that we posted. These are the ones that we have up so far. And again, if anybody's listening or interested, please feel free to go to the site and apply for our positions. And we did have a leprechaun join us in the Special Services Department. We have always done our Christmas celebration with our Hadley and junior high specialized instruction classes, and we loved it. But we thought we'd extend that and offer that to our elementary specialized instruction classes. So we did have them here yesterday, and the Leprechaun came to visit. We did some crafts with them, we played bingo with them. We had gold coins out there for them to find. We had some treats for them. As you can see, some of them were decked out. They really did enjoy it. They went home with gift bags. The teachers were very appreciative of the time that we spent with them. We, of course, enjoyed it. Seeing all their smiles and how engaged they were with everything was wonderful. And I was quite amazed at the number of students that passed over the little cupcakes and went for strawberries. I was proud of that. So no, we had a lot of fun with them. Here's some pictures as well, just seeing them color and or using the stickers to make their own leprechaun. So I want to thank Tim, our lucky leprechaun. And I want to thank Amy and Dee in our office for helping to plan and organize the celebration with them. They took a lot of time to order everything, make sure that they decorated the room for us and had everything ready for the students. It was a lot of fun. That is it for me. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Back on the slide for our staffing needs, before the leprechaun
Yep.
slides, which are adorable, by the way. Do you have an idea of how many we need in each of those categories or not?
Well, psychologists, we need 3.
So
One
it's
at each of
3.
those
All right,
buildings.
so speech language pathologists,
1 at each
2.
building. Mhm.
Yeah. And
Paraprofessionals,
paraprofessionals, it's a larger number.
It is a
correct?
larger number for
And-
sure.
And special education teacher, then it's just the 3? Or are you saying there's more that we need?
There are needs in those 3 buildings. Schilling, we're thinking through an alternative idea that could alleviate that. Initially, when I put this out, we were thinking about 1 at Hadley and 1 at the junior high. I think we're at about 2 in each building right now. So that's the only one that doesn't have the accurate number. The other one actually is just accurately reflecting 1 in each building.
Okay.
But that special ed teacher one is one that is
All right,
changing.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm always interested.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for a future item, and you may already have this, Renee, but I would love to see sort of year-end on Thrive. And we're getting to the year-end, like how did it go? You know, this is our
Sure.
first full year going through it, so maybe June, July.
No, that
somewhere
would,
in
I think it'd be
timeframe.
great to celebrate
Yeah,
it.
I'd
It's
love
been
to see
great.
how everything went and talk through it now that we've got some experience and data and that kind of thing. When you're talking about training, I'm not sure how in depth, I think that RBT training, right, it's like a 40-hour type of a thing. Have we thought at all about, I don't know if in-housing is the right word for it, but like cohorting it? I mean, I'm sure we have a lot of paraprofessionals. We're sort of encouraging a lot of folks to sort of think about it. Is there a way that we could perhaps facilitate it? Because I think we do have potentially a decent amount of people that are all, I think it would be mutually beneficial, right? We have a lot of paraprofessionals
Agreed.
that getting their RBTs would be good for them and also good for us.
I agree 100%. I would encourage, if we have people interested, to reach out, we can support them with that. They do have to go through that training, they do have to pass a test, and then there is supervision they have from a behavior specialist. So we do have all that in place that we can help them, right, the BCBAs. So I think initially, that in my head, if we're initially gonna start with something like that, I would like to see parapros that would be interested in doing that, but I think the primary role they take at this time, our students with the highest need would be the students in our specialized instruction programs. And I know some people choose to be in those environments, some people would rather not. So I would like to truly consider maybe having people in that role. It does not mean, though, we're gonna have to expand the Thrive program. As noted in that one slide, some of the aggressive behaviors and things have increased just worldwide. If that need comes, we may have the need for them, or have it more prevalent across the district
Outside of that,
as well. So I'd support that, yeah, 100%.
That's all I got.
That's it? Okay, anyone else? No? Thank you very much.
Okay,
thank you.
Good job. Okay, we do not have anything for technology, but transportation. I think you're coming
He's
to.
all smiles.
I think
Look
you're,
at
I think he's coming to beg, right? Is that what it is?
No, he's all smiles.
Good evening. Robert Rounsville, Director of Sport Personnel Services. Just a very brief update from Transportation tonight on staffing. I'd like to just keep you updated where we are. We are still doing a lot of recruiting, a lot of interviewing, but we have 55 current drivers. That includes the 2 that you just hired tonight. We appreciate that, but as you know, that'll take several weeks to get those people trained and licensed in driving. So we still have 7 open positions. We're actively looking for drivers. We're doing a lot. Been working with Dr. Portwood, Al in his office, and Dr. Shoppy. So anybody out there that knows anybody, please send them our way. We'd love to have them apply and talk with them. So that's really all I had tonight, unless there's any questions from the board.
Are you still managing the routes okay, are you managing the routes okay, even with the fact that you're down those drivers?
We are. We've had to reach out to First Student on occasion to send us an extra driver. We've been using a couple of mechanics from Tim's department to drive some routes. Our dispatcher's been driving quite a bit, but we are getting them covered. Also, there was a memo to in your board packet, I believe, about hiring a part-time driver. And he just completed his training today, so we'll be going to get licensed soon, so hopefully we'll have him. Part-time drivers just work when they want to, but we're hoping this one will help us out through the end of the year.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Figueroa. I'm from the Curriculum and Instruction Department. I'm going to be presenting to you tonight regarding our pilot. So kindergarten through 8th grade English Language Arts has been piloting this year and the past school year. So the purpose of our pilot was to look at resources and figure out which one of those resources aligns best to our ELA priority standards. That's why the pilot went in from last year to this year, because our priority standards hadn't been identified. And so the pilot teachers voted to continue the pilot so that they knew the priority standards, could look at resources and make sure they aligned, they were effective for teaching the priority standards. The pilot teachers provided feedback after they implemented the resources 1 quarter each in each of their classrooms. So they did it for about a quarter. They provided feedback. There was a little bit of a break to train on the next pilot resource, and then they did that 3rd quarter and gave the feedback. So we have recommendations based on this experience. So what we're currently using right now in grades kindergarten through 5 is Wonders, and we purchased that in 2017, or we have the 2017 edition. And grades 6 through 8, we have McDougall Literature from 2008. So that's what we're going from. What happened was in kindergarten and 1st grade, they piloted last year, and they wanted to trial units of study this year. So they were working between units of study, or the agreement was to default to whatever 2nd through 5th grade recommended. So they were putting their work into units of study. If it didn't work out, they were going to agree to follow the recommendation of 2nd through 5th grade. 2nd through 5th grade tried this year MyView and Imagine Learning. And 6th through 8th grade tried the resources My Perspectives and StudySync. So after filling out the rubrics, we looked at everything, and they gave feedback, they provided scores, and the end result were these 3 recommendations. Kindergarten through 1st grade, these teachers liked units of study more than defaulting to another resource. So that was the winner, the recommendation. Grades 2 through 5, teachers recommended Imagine Learning from the pilot over MyView. And 6 through 8, they're recommending StudySync over My Perspectives. So to give you a little bit of information about each one of these resources, units of study, kindergarten through 1st grade teachers are very happy with their foundations, their geodes, and their Haggerty. And those are all the things that they use to teach kids how to read. They're happy with that. They don't want anything to replace that. What we're looking for is how do we teach them to understand what they read and write about what they read. So that's what units of study are. So there are books that teachers put together with the help of Dr. Dobeck and Tasha. And what they do is they go through and they're teaching the priority standards for the quarter via texts and writing about those texts and much more. I'm simplifying it. Okay. So these are some samplings of that. Imagine Learning is a digital platform, and it's supported also by texts. So there's a digital platform. They have workbooks like all the other resources, but what a lot of feedback shared was they really liked that the books, where the students had the books and they could have books in their hands. And StudySync went very well with the priority standards, and there was they like the books in the hands. Some like the workbooks, some don't, but they really liked the interactive platform. So when I went to take pictures of StudySync, that was, more what they were interacting with the digital platform. So teachers filled out a rubric to give this feedback. In the past, they were given, 2 resources to pilot, and they would vote yes or no after they piloted a certain resource, or I like this one over that one. This time, they piloted for a quarter, provided feedback on a rubric. The rubric's not my rubric, our rubric. It's from Common Core, it's from Achieve the Core. So they would rate different things in these focus areas. So it's the alignment to the standards, and then beyond that, align to shifts in the standards. And then how does it support instruction, and how are the assessments? So those were the 4 areas with the rubric. So what the feedback was, and this is me summarizing the feedback from each of the groups. These were the reasons why they were making their recommendation in summary. So there was a strong focus on developing those comprehension strategies through authentic reading experiences. So what they're very happy with is how we're teaching kids how to read, but they're liking how we're developing comprehension through using units of study as the resource. And then they also like the emphasis on writing with structured support. With units of study, not only do they have books and the writing, but it's a whole lesson plan so that teachers can go through the daily lessons and they read a book and then they reread it with a different focus, and they really develop those comprehension skills using those strategies. With Imagine Learning, what the feedback, the summary of the feedback included, they liked that they were using a topic and really digging into a topic with the unit. And they do that in units of study as well. So there will be an overall topic, and the texts that are read are all related to that topic. And they talked about that. The writing was getting better, reading comprehensions is better, and it was engaging using real-world content. And similar to what we're doing in units of study, writing our own, there was a lot of writing in Imagine Learning, which teachers appreciated. With StudySync, there are a lot of literature choices in StudySync. So that was one of the things we heard. And with StudySync, for our new plan with advanced accelerated, and honors for the upper grades, StudySync provides a platform for teachers and for students that ranges from 6th to 12th grade. So there's a large continuum that everyone has access to, and they appreciated exposing students to a wide variety of both literature and informational text. And their digital platform is great. They have rich multimedia and digital tools so that the older students are developing those skills, and it's also making their engagement strong. So with cost considerations, for units of study, what we did was, the recommendation was voted on last spring to trial units of study. So that's when we enlisted Kelly Doback. So we had to build them in the summer and first quarter and second quarter. So we spent that time planning and purchasing books. So for the cost, what you'll see is the cost for quarter 3 read aloud texts. So there's a read aloud text for each teacher to do their teaching. And so these are the amounts that we needed at each building for kindergarten and for first grade. And then we also wanted to recommend that students have books in their hands. So there were a couple of books in kindergarten and a little more in first grade that we thought we could extend this and kids could actually go from reading with the teacher to reading on their own. So we've also budgeted in 2 classroom books for kinder and 2 classroom sets for first grade students. And so the estimated cost to build this for 25-26 is we took the $9,000 and extended it for first quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarter. So the total would be approximately $52,000 for units of study. This is something that we'll buy as we go, so it's not in the 460 items that Al will share. These are samplings of all the different texts for units of study in kindergarten on the left and first grade on the right. Okay, so Imagine Learning, we had a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year quote. I didn't include the 1-year quote because when you have an implementation on a large scale, it's going to take a couple of years for teachers to really get a handle of the resource. So at a minimum, we would want to do the 3-year commitment, but I am recommending the 5-year commitment because if it takes teachers a couple of years to really understand how to use the resource to teach the priority standards, we don't want them to just have mastered it for a year and then we pilot something. So I'm recommending the 5-year quote for Imagine Learning, not only for teacher expertise, but the cost is $26,000 less annually. For StudySync, same thing, we got a 3-year and a 5-year. I didn't include the 1-year cost. And for the same reasons, so that teachers can become comfortable and experts in using the resource to teach the priority standards, and because it has a savings of $10,000 annually, I would recommend that we purchase the 5-year StudySync for 6th through 8th grade ELA resource. I wanted to thank that there were so many people involved in this pilot, and it was over the course of 2 years. Like, this didn't start this year, it was just with me this year, and they had worked with Mike the year prior. So we have kindergarten and first grade teachers in the column on the left, our 2 through 5 team, our 6 through 8 team, our coaches, Tasha and Laura, and Katie and Chris from the C&I department. Everybody has had so much time invested in this, so much hard work invested in this. They've worked in the summers, and they've worked above and beyond what they normally, put into their regular teaching today. So I'm very grateful. I feel these recommendations are best for our students, and these people are going to be on the front lines in the summer preparing for our teachers to have a good kickoff in the beginning of the school year next year, teaching with these resources. So our next steps would be, if the recommendation is formally adopted, then we will start planning at the end of the school year, and in the summer, we'll do curriculum work so that we can make it as seamless as possible for us to begin using these 3 resources. There will be professional development provided throughout the school year, and it's going to be differentiated for each grade band because we have the K1, we have the 2-5, and we have the 6-8. And then we will heavily rely on our coaches for implementation support, as well as Kelly Doback, and we will keep collaborating with our bi-monthly priority standard meetings so that every other week we're meeting about the standards and how are we using the resource and evidence-based instructional strategies to teach the students those standards, well. That's everything I have. Are there questions I can answer?
I have a question.
Yes.
From what I understand in that previous slide, you had from, I'm going to 2nd through 5th and 6th through 8th. No, I guess it's the slide view, this one, yeah. That those teachers were the ones that were piloting.
So
they
it's
were
not
like,
exact,
They were
but
like 13 and 12, something like that.
yes.
So out of like 2 to 5 and then 6 to 8, I know that from my previous experience as a teacher, what kind of an agreement did they come to? Because a lot of times the teachers say, I like this pilot, or I like that one. What kind of an agreement was there? Was it an overwhelming majority, or how
So
did that work?
it was different. So
Okay.
two different things happened in 6 through 8 and 2 through 5.
Okay.
So in 6 through 8, they had a training with their second pilot, and we talked, and we said, do you have a feeling? Is there anything you want to ask Study Sync for? Because they were in the room, and they had a feeling that they and their colleagues were leaning towards Study Sync, and they wanted to move away from my perspective because it was a basal and it was too similar to what they had. And they're ready for something different, and they liked what Study Sync had to offer with the large variety of texts. With 2 through 5, Kelly walked them through conversations during professional development as she gave presentations twice. And in one, there were misunderstandings with teachers about if we choose Imagine Learning, we won't be able to get books for all the teachers, because last year we were told if we picked EL, which is something they piloted last year, but it's the same company, the books were really expensive, so they would have to partner up. And so that was a misconception, and Kelly cleared that up. She verified it in front of me, and then she was talking to all staff about what is a good resource, what makes a good resource, and what they can be looking at. And then the next time Kelly had a professional development with them, I wasn't with them, but she reported back to me that, not reported back to me, but she told me that they talked about it again, and she gave them some words of wisdom as far as either of the resources are going to work. There's different types of work you're going to put in each one, whether you go one way or the other, and she explained that. So it was a whole group rather than a pilot group discussion. When the pilot teachers filled out the rubric, they were with a coach, and they filled out the rubric privately so that there wasn't what are you going to put, you know what I mean, that discussion. It was truly, how they felt about, the resource in each one of those categories. Alignment to standards, assessment, instructional strategies, and did it meet the changing needs of the standards?
And that's where the agreement came in for those particular.
Yeah, I scored it. The rubrics have scores, it could be I think it was a 4-3-2-1, so there were totals. So we could get an average for each grade level, And then there was the anecdotal notes. So that's how I got the chart where it was the overall. There were commonalities with, what they liked about it.
And were you personally in agreement with the choices that they made?
They, yes, because, our consultant works with a lot of different districts, and she was secretly rooting for these, so then I was secretly rooting for these, because if she goes to so many different districts and was rooting that way,
No, that's great.
that gave me
I'm just happy-
confidence.
I'm happy the teachers are happy with the resource that's chosen. Because sometimes I know in the past, resources for the district are chosen, and they're chosen, everyone's not in agreement, do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
You know,
and that's
that
not
kind of thing.
necessarily the case. I mean,
that the way they
there were
structure
people, you know, that preferred the other. But I've already had 3 teachers reach out to me to see if they can continue using the pilot resource if it gets approved tonight.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Well, you want
it's,
the teachers to be on board
Right.
with that, for it to be effective. All right, thank you.
yeah, and one with a grade level. Can their grade level do it? So, I mean,
Are we kind of skimping on numbers for what we want, or are we?
No,
being
not at all.
truthful? Okay.
no. What do we mean? Like, am I?
Can
As
you go
far
back
as
to,
for
like-
K1.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
looking at too. Can
So,
you go
yeah.
back to that slide?
Yeah, no, this is taking everything that we purchased for K1, and this is everything that they came up with that they wanted, and, we ordered all of that.
Okay, that's where I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
and what we did for each one of the books that, you know, were part of the unit, we ordered one for every classroom teacher, special education teacher, EL teacher. So everybody's got a book in each one of these grade levels. And we ordered them from wherever we could. Amazon, some books were more difficult to get, and Katie was on a wild hunt because maybe it was out of print, or maybe they didn't have enough, or what have you. So we got all the books for the teachers, and that's what it came to for 1 quarter. So all we did to do an estimate was say, okay, if we spent that 3rd quarter, we can estimate that's what it may cost 1st, 2nd, and 4th. And then we estimated getting them the books. So this is a good first start, but this one is gonna be a pay-as-you-go, right? Like the teachers are gonna get together in the summer and they're gonna make their book recommendations. Actually, right now, Eric and Katie and Tasha are gathering book recommendations during the K1 priority standard meetings. So as they're going, if they can think of a book for 4th quarter that teaches that standard well, as they're using Wonders, if they have a book they're gonna pull in, they're generating a list. So we're not telling anybody no, you
So are we
know,
looking at
we're,
building upon that
yes, yes.
continually?
But
It'll be a constant refinement of it, but, I mean, I,
So I'm gonna sound really dumb.
no, you're
And
not,
I'm
no,
okay
you're
with
not,
that.
no, you're not.
So I'm confused. It's okay, I'm used to sounding dumb.
No.
So Wonders, as I understand it, is the resource we are looking to replace.
Correct.
Okay, so when we purchase Wonders as a program, as a resource, right, you tell them we have X number of classrooms, and then they tell you, okay, then here are the 20 books, and you buy that, right, and here you go. I'm confused as to what we're buying.
So it's different now, yeah, so it's a great question.
I
So-
knew it was.
So take this quote, right? Let's just look at 2nd grade. Okay, so grade 2 student single user, that's digital access. So
Okay.
now part of purchasing a resource to
Includes
teach
digital.
ELA is digital access for
Okay.
kids, which we did not do with Wonders.
So this is for Imagine Learning.
Yes, so this is Imagine Learning, but the same will hold true to StudySync. There will be a digital access.
For
units of study.
units of study.
There won't be a digital
So there's no
access
digital
charge.
resource.
Well, if we build one, that would be different, but there's not a company we're paying for digital access to get to those resources.
So I met with Lisa yesterday to kind of fill in some gaps for me. So it is the priority standards, right?
Right.
And so they're meeting as a team to
Are we selecting our own books?
Yes.
Basically,
Yes.
is what
Yes.
we're doing.
Mhm.
So rather than going to Wonders and buying 500 books, they say, here's the 20 books we recommend, how many kids, how many teachers, here you go, here's a box of
So
those.
what was quarter
We're not
three
doing
focus
that.
again?
Right, if quarter three's focus was summarizing and, where's Tasha? Summarizing, the quarter three focus for,
So for kindergarten, it was looking at illustrations and how they connect to the text and help you better understand the text. It was also looking at character setting, problem, and retelling of stories. So there were a lot of texts that we found, but with the support of Kelly Dobeck kind of guiding us throughout the unit topics and her experience of doing that with other districts such as North Palos and Frankfurt. So there was a lot of work put into this behind the scenes. It wasn't just choosing random books. It was focused on our quarter three priority standards for both kindergarten and first grade. With Kelly Dobeck leading the way with the actual overall topics that are geared more towards science.
We pick the books.
We do. So I guess the
That-
question
that's
I
the
have.
question.
Well,
Thank you.
and Chris, I think the other question that you may be asking is, we saw that long list of
Mhm.
10 or 12 books, but those kids won't have them in their hand. They're only gonna have 4 of those books, and the other ones are only gonna be the teacher reading on the carpet.
Well, what do we do now with Wonders? Does every kid have a book for Wonders? Is that a departure from what we're currently doing?
so the Wonders books are like the bigger textbooks.
Right, so
Kindergarten
it's got-
doesn't have them,
Kindergarten doesn't.
yeah, they weren't using them.
Okay.
And first grade has them.
So first grade, I'm a first grader.
Okay.
Like perhaps Kaylee Traziak. Just a random first grader. I have my Wonders resource book, which is basically a compilation of pre-selected texts.
Yes.
All in a nice little one book.
Right.
But it's really a bunch of books.
Right,
That's what we do right now.
yes,
What we're planning to do, if we move forward with units of study for kindergarten through first grade is, I'm a first grader, my teacher, so we as in Homework 33C, are going to select the text resource to cover whatever the particular standard we're trying to hit is. More than one text, we're gonna select 5 texts.
Right.
And then the teacher is going to have a copy of that book,
yes.
and the students are not gonna have a copy of that book.
Correct. And so there's more strategy to it than that. We're putting in all the things that help students become, better understanders and writers. So first, everything is under a topic that they're learning more about. And that background knowledge that we're building for our kids is one of the best ways that we can build their comprehension. So these all have a common theme,
I'm
right?
with you on the,
And then they all are good at helping teach those priority standards for that quarter. So not only were they selected under the topic, but they were reviewed by multiple teachers, and yeah, we can
so we
really
picked
help
these
teach
books for a very particular
very
reason.
intentionally,
Okay.
very intentionally.
At the risk of again sounding dumb.
It's okay.
Which is okay, I'm gonna roll with that theme tonight. So, we have first graders who need to learn how to read. We're trying to focus on specific learning skills for, let's just summarize, right? And in order to achieve that, we have very thoughtfully pre-selected texts that we feel help us teach that skill.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna have the book. So how am I gonna read it if I don't have it?
The child?
The child.
That's why we want to get those individual books, and they're still going to have a lot of opportunities to read when they're learning to read. They still have foundations, they have geodes, which those are little books. So when it's time to be learning to read, we're still
I
going
see
to keep
Tasha's
it.
like gonna blow up.
That's what Wonders does right now, it's decodable text. So it's helping students learn how to read, but we have all of those components within foundations,
Okay,
geodes, and
that's
clarity
your question.
for our
Okay.
K1. So, and that would have been an additional purchase if we were doing another resource, which we already have all of those components, which is really the reason why we went with units of study and creating that on our own. These are the interactive read alouds with best practice
Okay.
as to how we build knowledge for our students, build a background, and then we have so much emphasis on vocabulary.
Okay.
And really focusing on our students
So-
understanding words.
When it gets to the old fashioned, like, we want kid to read book, we are gonna go to the other resources.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew we'd get there. I knew it.
It's not like
Okay.
Run, Jane, Run,
All
you know, Neil days
And those,
here.
the folks that they're selecting are really the ones then that they can teach and draw the standards from, the interpretation. Right, so teaching how to read is one thing versus now taking the text and then saying, okay, how do I inference? How do I find, you know, those kinds of questions, and I'm not an ELA person, so I'm not gonna
So I
pretend
think
it,
it
but
was
I.
helpful to see the
That was a
priority
good question
standards.
though, actually, it was not a stupid
Yeah.
question, that was a very good question.
No, it's a very good
Craig's
question.
giving me that it was a stupid question.
No, that was a good
That's
question.
because Craig said in the meeting with him
Okay.
yesterday,
I
so
think,
he
that,
feels
you know, I
knowledgeable
think
now.
too, as a board, we want to make sure that, you know, we are spending a lot of money on these resources.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that these resources are exactly what we need and not to come back in 4 years and say, oh,
That's
this
exactly,
isn't
I
the
don't mind
resource we
spending money on them, I
need, you
just
know?
wanna do it.
Right.
We just want to make
Right.
sure that it's exactly
and-
what we're looking for and it hits the priority standards that you guys are working on. And that, to me, the teachers are on board with what we're doing, because that's an important buy-in also. So I think that's my concern and some of the board's concern too.
Okay.
Well, Liz, you and I at DLT, this process has been 2 years.
Yeah.
And really, always in the past, it was like, okay, you adopt wonders for, what is it, 1st through 6th. So initially, that was the intention. And then slowly, the teachers, through all of this process, which, you know, it's a big undertaking, the K through, from what I recall, K through 1 was like, we're just not comfortable with that.
Yeah, because when you adopt Imagine Learning, for example, you adopt all of it, which includes Teach Me How to Read, right? All that stuff. And K1 didn't need that. They don't want it. They like what they have.
Right.
Like what you're saying, you know,
that's how
like they're
that-
happy with it. They don't want to switch the resource.
Yeah.
You know?
They broke off. And then unfortunately, to Liz's point, 6th grade sometimes was that catch-all because they really wanted to link up to the junior high, but they were expected to link back to 2nd grade.
They missed out on some
They
options.
did, yes, so
because
that.
some resources
so
are
good-
K5.
Yeah, through really good dialogue. This has been a long process, but I think, I would suspect the teachers are extremely happy with, I mean, as best you can be happy, because, you know.
Well, that's what I
I
was
mean,
just
yeah.
wondering, did the majority of
I-
teachers agree, you know?
Yeah.
with the
But Lisa
resources?
did explain how she, well,
Yeah,
for
the
the
process.
first grade, it wasn't like individual teachers
Correct,
did the rubrics, they
correct.
did it as a group. As a group, so it wasn't,
And
Yeah,
that's a lot
I
of
was more
work.
concerned with the upper grades.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'm not,
they
saying
put in a
everybody did a lot of
ton of
work,
work.
but that's a lot of work.
So what, okay, so then for 2 through 5, 6 through 8, the resource we're talking about is Imagine Learning and StudySync. Now, those are they both digital and print resources?
Correct.
Or-
Imagine Learning and StudySync will give you print workbooks, texts, like a couple of texts, and the digital. So Imagine Learning comes with, I think, a couple of teacher read-alouds. There's 1 or 2 where groups get a book, and then there's 1 or 2 where kids get their own book, like it's a class set. And then with StudySync, they get a digital access, they have a workbook, but then they have 2 novels.
Okay.
So it's
And
similar,
so
but
The price we pay in the first year, is this more because you have to buy these texts the first time and then the second year
no, the
you're
way
buying-
they do it, that's another great question. When they gave me this, I'm like, okay, what's yearly and what's not?
Yeah.
It's you pay all 5 years up front, and then you don't pay anything for the other 4 years.
Oh, so you're just breaking down the cost for.
Just so you could
discussion.
see
Okay,
it.
so we
Yeah.
pay either a 3-year at $357,000 or a 5-year at $464,000, and it's all of the things that you need during that entire period of time.
Right, and I asked them if they would break it down so we could pay for it per year. Imagine Learning said no. No, Imagine Learning said yes, but then you don't get the discounted price of the workbooks. So you have to pay per student for the workbooks at the going rate each year. And then StudySync said they don't do that.
I have another, back to the units of study. the 4 books and the 2 books for each grade level, do the teachers get to choose which 4? It's just grade level choice? Or is it individual teacher?
So for units of study,
Yeah.
we're gathering everything from teachers. With the priority standards are
No, for the
valuable.
purchasing, we're saying that we're gonna purchase 4 books for each grade 1 student.
No, I mean, so we're collecting.
Yeah, the text in hand.
Yeah, like, so we're collecting feedback from teachers via priority standard meetings. So if this is approved and we say yes, keep in mind, 2 of these books are going to be classroom books that each of the kindergartners needs to use. During our meetings, we get to collect all that information from teachers, so that everybody can have a say, and can have a voice in what we do. And after 3rd quarter, Tasha was even aware of one of the books for kindergarten, like she already knew, like it was discussed. So there'll be teacher voice in it, for sure.
And then, just because you said some of these books were already difficult to get now, what's gonna happen in 2 years if we need to replace some of them?
Yeah, so the plan is, you can find them, but it's like Katie was on secondhand sites, like getting creative. But that's one of the difficulties, is sometimes it takes a while. So units of study planning is gonna be in June for 1st quarter and into 2nd quarter, because it may take a while to get the books in. But if it's a book we can't get, I wouldn't recommend we move forward with it, because it'll always be a problem and to replace.
So I guess, so do we plan on, like, I see that we have 10 copies, 1 per teacher. Are we looking at our projections from Mike of our sections, that in case we have 11, like, are we purchasing ahead, or we're literally just purchasing enough for every teacher we currently have at that section?
What we've done is every teacher, but, once we know what we're doing, we'll build more of a library,
I think the main thing is that no matter what they need after we, if there's something that may have been missed, forgotten, obviously not astronomical things, but when we say, oh, we thought we were gonna each have a copy, oh, you know what I'm saying, or something, or like, we
Right.
wanna make sure our teachers have what they need in their hands.
Correct.
So they can distribute.
If the 2 books and 4 books is off, I'll update you
Sure.
and let you know, like, what they said they needed.
The one question I had is on the 6th through 8th, both of the other 2, the sync one, I'm sure it does. I just didn't see it, so I was just, study sync, you didn't elaborate on the writing component of that. I'm guessing there's a huge writing component in it, but you just didn't notice.
It's embedded. So, we had courses, 6, 7, 8, that reading and writing were separate, right?
Okay.
And so this, and what the Illinois Literacy Plan recommends is that you do them together. You read, then you discuss it, then you write about it.
Okay.
And so it's together.
Okay.
It's all.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anything? No? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Portwood, you're up. Human Resources.
Good evening, board, colleagues, community members. My name is Mike Portwood, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, and a few quick slides of updates for you tonight. First one is just with regards to registration. We are underway. Registration is open. It opened on March 10th for our kindergartners and will open on March 31st for grades 1 through 8 and pre-K. As of about an hour ago, we had 172 kindergarten registrations. And so that's on par with where we've been in the future. Our anticipated goal is about 350, so we're about halfway there. All registrations are due by May 31st, so tell your friends. All physicals are due August 1st for new students, kindergarten and 6th grade. And then just a thank you to Lisa McLaughlin, our registration and enrollment specialist, for all her hard work and continually managing the process, calling parents, orchestrating all the moving pieces. So thanks to her. Transportation. So really, this is just a slide of thanks to piggyback on what we heard from Robert. Thank you to Robert and his staff for distributing materials throughout our community. Thank you to Megan Harris, who helped put together and design, remember those placemats like at family restaurants you might see? We put that center graphic, top center graphic on the placemats in Peppermill and Mokina and South Fork in Orland Park. And then thanks to Kim Petroit too for her help in putting the advertisement on the left there in the newspaper. So we are calling all cars and trying to turn over every rock. Health requirement website refresh. So if you go underneath the parents and students section of our website, you go to health requirements, we've refreshed that page. I just want to say thank you to kudos and thanks to our lead nurse, Carrie Gorecki, for her vision and her initiative in this project. It's been fun putting together some of the graphic-based topics that you see there. It's just a much more intuitive page for our parents. Before it was just a listing of all kinds of documents, and so things are much more easily found, and so it's something to be proud of. And then with regards to tenure that was mentioned earlier, I put before the board tonight our recommended teacher list, the listing of teachers who are moving from year 1 to year 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. A few words about tenure. There's a lot of confusion about what it is and who gets it and how it works. You might have seen board 2 that I sent out a couple of emails to the entire staff, just kind of trying to explain what tenure is and how it works. So tenure is not granted or awarded by a district. It's actually a status that's enacted when certain school code requirements are met. It's only for professional educator license holders, certified staff. Tenure status is achieved the first day of the school the employee works the following school year after conditions are met. Years when an employee works in a part-time position or does not work 120 days in a school year do not count towards tenure. Tenure rules have have changed in the last few years. So if you were hired before the 23-24 school year, you could receive tenure by having 4 successful school years in the district, ending at proficient or higher, or 3 successful school years in the district with 2 or more excellent ratings in those 3. If you were hired for the 23-24 school year and after, you receive tenure by having 3 successful school years in the district, ending at proficient or higher, or by having 2 successful years in the district, both years being rated as excellent. So, shorter than it was. So we want to recognize our teachers who are achieving tenure at the beginning of the 25-26 school year. Mr. Brian Black, instructional special ed teacher at Butler. Ms. Katarina Morandi, our nurse at Butler. Ms. Heather Ryan, 3rd grade teacher at Butler. Ms. Mallory Studzinski, instructional special education teacher at Butler. Ms. Kristen Bizdick, TPI teacher at Goodings. Ms. Kelly Duckworth, psychologist at Goodings. Ms. Carrie Gorecki, our nurse. Ms. Jamie Harris, kindergarten teacher at Goodings. Ms. Sarah Wagner, 1st grade teacher at Goodings. Ms. Christina Field, instructional special ed at Hadley. Ms. Annie Crowan, our speech language pathologist at Hadley. Ms. Karen Lafredi, instructional special ed at Hadley, if I said that correct. Ms. Michelle Ostrowski, 5th grade at Hadley. Ms. Lisa Beth Painter, interventionist at Hadley. Ms. Kim Tallingen, instructional music at Hadley. Ms. Megan Parr, our nurse at the junior high. Ms. Jennifer Woods, resource at the junior high. Ms. Maura Conrad, special ed at Schilling. Ms. Emily Casper, vocal music teacher at Schilling. Ms. Rebecca Bauer, instructional special ed teacher at Young. Ms. Colleen Engel, our nurse at Young. Ms. Dana Galos, our music teacher at Young. Ms. Rachel Johnston, social worker at Young. Ms. Sandra Novak, SLP at Young. Ms. Lauren O'Reilly, speech path at Young. And then Ms. Sheila Hughes, which is one of our full-time subs for all locations that's been here for some time. So congratulations to them. I also have a framed poster of the graphic that you see there that they can hang in their classroom that'll be distributed this week. Any other questions or thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you. Right, at this time, superintendent's report, Dr. Shafi.
I just want to share, very happy that Robert and Mike talked about all the things that we've been doing for advertising for bus drivers. It might have been an oversight on their part. I didn't see any shout outs about being on the news or anything like that. Next time it's gonna be other duties assigned when we get a phone call. Sorry. Big shout out to our wrestling team. Earlier this month, our wrestling team went down to ISA in DeKalb and won the AA Team State Championship. They will be visiting us next month. Let Mr. Rush talk about it, but I believe this is our third state championship now, which is phenomenal. We sent 16 wrestlers qualified for the state meet this year. 6 of those qualifiers placed at the meet. Barrett Kocius, 5th grader, finished 3rd at 70 pounds. Zane Asgar is a 7th grader who finished 3rd at 75 pounds. Zane's been here the last 3 years, I believe. He's went downstate, so he'll be a familiar face next month. Hank Howe is a 6th grader who finished 5th at 75 pounds. And Joseph Panciero is a 7th grader who finished 3rd at 145 pounds. And then we had 2 state champions this year. Wyatt McLean at 70 pounds, and he finished his season at a record of 48-0. And Alex Hubbard was a state champion at 80 pounds, and ended his season with a record of 47 wins and 1 loss. So congratulations to our entire wrestling team. They represented us really well again this year. I look forward to recognizing them next month. And want to piggyback on what Ms. Piper said earlier. A big shout out to Ms. Colleen Nowak and her Homer Junior High PTO for organizing and running the Meet the Candidate Night last week. It was a great, that event was a great way for our community to learn more about the candidates running for the school board. And just want to thank the Cross of Glory Church for hosting the event again this year. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Item 6A, the school calendar.
So the high school approved their calendar at their last board meeting. We've reviewed the calendar a couple months ago, so it's ready to be approved as soon as you guys approve it this evening. We'll get it out to our staff and community later this week.
All right, we are seeking a motion and a second to approve the 2025-2026 school calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Any additional questions or comments? Roll call, please.
DeFilippis,
Yes.
DeShab,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Trezier,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
Shamrona,
Yes.
and Hitzman.
Yes, motion passes. Item 6B, this is the Quest Food Service Program.
Give me just 1 second while I get situated here.
Appetizers will not be part of the presentation.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. No samples? No
These are
samples?
let down.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. I see cookies are a big item for the kids. Did you see that? Did you see that cookies was a big item?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Is this the same thing?
I think so, yes.
Good evening again. I'm happy to be joined by Jen Rose and Corey Weiser from Quest to talk about the food service program. Also, Kim Pertroit, my admin assistant, was kind enough to join us. She actually manages it on a day-to-day basis in terms of parent interactions. If you email pushcoin@homerschools.org and you have any questions, it's Kim who's getting back to you. So with that, we have some information to share. Oh, this thing's automatically advancing for me, which I don't want. Give me 1 second. And, no, we already saw it all. We're good. Yeah, see, it went right through. So with that, I'll give a little overview and then kind of a projection of where things are going. And then we'll open it up to some comments from Quest and then questions from the board and take it from there. So we've been with Quest since, I want to say 2017, I think was the first year that we've been with them. However, we don't have exact details going all the way back that far because we changed POSs along the way. So some of the details that I put up on the slide were not available for previous years. So I went back to FY19 in terms of pulling out kind of our performance over the years with the food service program. We've tried to stay off of the National School Lunch Program over the years because of the restrictions that it puts onto the district in terms of what food can be served and then what other food can be brought into the buildings. It's extraordinarily restrictive in that way. So generally, we've been trying to find a program that is kind of self-sustaining and then still manage to ensure that the kids who are on lunch waivers, get what they need. So in that regard, you can see from FY19, there was actually a profit from the food service program. And we actually came to the board, I remember that year, and kind of discussed this, and everybody was excited. Unfortunately, that didn't last long. If there is a profit, by the way, and I think it's over $11,000 or $10,000, then actually that profit gets split between the district and the food service management company. But if there is no profit, then basically the district eats it. That's the way the contract was established. Okay. FY 20, 21, and 22 are bizarre for reasons that I think everybody is aware of at this point. What happened in FY 20 is at the end of it, obviously, we shut down, and then food sales dropped, everything went kind of haywire, and then nobody knew exactly what was going on, and then for a period of time, actually over the next 2 years, we were in this hybrid model of using various national school lunch programs, sub-programs, I guess for a lack of a better way of putting it. One of them called the Summer Food Service Program. There was another one involved at some point. And some of those just ran over the summer periods, and some of them just changed, and then they ran over the school year period. And when we were on those programs, because of what was going on in the world, the entire revenue expenditure model changes, the entire payment model changes, everything changes, and it's essentially just a one-to-one. It's a per meal price, and essentially we get whatever we get per meal, and then we basically pass it along to this food service management company because that's the contract terms, and there's really no profit, no loss. It's just kind of a pass-through. So any profit or losses you see on here would have been from additional things that would have happened up until that point that were still part of the normal revenue kind of program that we're encountering. So these are oddball years, pretty much not really to be paid much attention to because of the craziness that was going on. FY23, we came back to the board and wanted to use the normal food service program again. At that point, by the way, you noticed that the price increased from $350 to $385 when we came out of COVID. There were a number of reasons for that. One of the biggest reasons for that is because we were still in this mode at that point where we knew the expenses were going to be very high. Just the way we were packaging the food, we were using all kinds of additional packaging and wrapping and keeping everything separated, and nobody was touching anything. So all of the consumables were extremely high for a while, and the labor to do that was extremely high for a while. So we knew for sure that was going to be a bad year. And then FY24, we talked about, it actually came in a little better than what we initially were expecting when we talked about this with the board last year. I believe we were projecting closer to I want to say it was a $40,000 deficit. I don't recall offhand, but when I ran the final numbers, it came in better than what we had actually anticipated at this time when we had this conversation. So right now we're in FY25, and we made the change from $3.85 to $4 at that point, and we're looking at what the numbers look like so far. So obviously the year's not over, so this is a projection for the rest of this year, much like we talked about this last year looking out. And if the numbers continue, basically this is just a proration of what's happened to date, rolled out for the rest of the year. We'd be looking at kind of a $70,000 loss in the food service program for this particular year. So one thing to put in context, however, is I'm referring to them as the lost coupon sales. So our students who might happen to qualify for one of the lunch programs get what's called a coupon in our system. And then when the coupons are rung up, it adjusts accordingly, whether it's a free lunch or whether it's a reduced price lunch. So if we wanted to look at the amount that those sales totaled, this is kind of what we're looking at. And you see that there is actually kind of a significant plan or a projected increase for this year over previous years. Percentage-wise of revenue, it's gone up, which is also obviously contributing to the bottom line issue. At a certain point, it becomes difficult to sustain a food service program when this number becomes extraordinarily high. I don't think we're in that point yet, and our free reduced numbers have not skyrocketed in terms of percentages of the total district population yet. I don't know what the future will hold in terms of the economy, but that could be a consideration to have in the future. So some other metrics here, just to kind of put things in perspective. Lunches served in each of these years. A la carte items served. Notice it's a lot higher, which I guess shouldn't be too surprising because some a la carte items are relatively small. A cookie is an a la carte item, for instance. A bag of chips is an a la carte item. But significant, so there's a difference there. And the milks are fairly flat year over year. And then when you break that out to sales, it kind of gives you an idea of what the general numbers look like there. The metric to take away from this, however, is the average a la carte sale. So the average a la carte sale will come up in the next slide, but it's gone from 137 to 146. We're projecting it at about $1.42 through the end of this year. And the other piece I wanted to show you is these are the trends. And again, this is FY25. This is a projected trend. But we're looking at a la carte sales slowly trending up, and we're looking at lunch sales. Now, when I say lunch sales, I'm talking about a complete lunch. A complete lunch sale slowly trending down, which is interesting.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's talk like basic accounting here. So I don't, when we have a loss, the district absorbs that loss, and we pay Quest, whatever that is. Is that correct?
Well, we pay Quest, basically we pay them for what they order in terms of product, and then we pay them for their labor, and we pay them a set management fee. So that's what we pay them, and then we get in whatever revenues in that period, and the difference between the two is the profit or the loss.
And if it's a profit, who keeps the profit?
It depends on how big the profit is. If
That's
the
where you were
profit-
talking about the 11,000.
Correct. If
Okay.
the profit goes over 11, then that difference gets split between us.
I
and
see.
them.
So, I'm not a businessman anymore. But I generally think it's favorable to make money. So what is the motivation? Like, why does Quest want to do this? How do you make any money doing this?
They make money on their management
The
fees.
management fee, that's what I
Correct.
thought you
And
said, so
their
that's
employee
really where
labor
the
costs.
heart and soul of
Yeah.
the actual profit that Quest makes comes out of the management fee.
Yes.
And anything on top of that is either gravy or split with the district.
Correct.
Or conversely absorbed by the district.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that helps a lot. Who sets the price for lunches and food?
We do. We set the price for lunches and the market sets the price for food.
So, like, when we sell cookies, who sets the price for the
We
cookies?
set the price. And that'll come up in the next slide, so don't jump ahead.
Okay, so if, my last question, and then I'll let you do the next slide. Well, it won't be my last question. They're 100% right. All right, so for students on free and reduced lunch, are we, or is there a program, who's paying that cost?
So that cost gets rolled into the overall expenditures because they get food based on what we bought to sell to everybody.
But the district is paying for that.
And the district has to pay whatever the cost of that was, yes.
So the 148,000 is what
Correct.
the district is paying.
The 140
There's no reimbursement, we are
That is correct.
paying that.
We are paying that.
And that is based on the actual cost of what we're delivering for that lunch out? So
That's
I
correct.
guess what I want to make sure is if we change the price of something, we essentially are penalizing ourselves. Because we still have to deliver that complete lunch to the students who qualify for those programs.
Mm-hmm.
And if the cost of a complete lunch is $5 or $3, we still have to pay it. So if we raise the price,
Well, we don't pay the price of the lunch.
That's what-
We
that's
pay the
what-
price of
yes.
the cost of
The
goods.
cost of
The cost of
okay,
goods.
that's
is
what I
we pay
wanted
the
to make
price
sure
of,
I
just to be
understood.
clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah, we don't have to pay somebody the difference between the cost of the goods and then what the lunch cost is. We just absorb the cost of goods sold.
Okay, and so do the numbers that you have on this particular expense include the management fees that we pay to Quest, or is
Yes.
that is included in here? Is that a percentage or is that a flat?
It's a percentage.
Yeah, 7%.
7%.
7%, okay, okay. Prosecution rests at this time.
My question here is kind of interesting, like you just alluded to, is that the lunches seem to be decreasing and the à la carte seems to be substantially increasing. Is it because the kids are bringing their lunch and then just buying the extras? Is that what that is?
So there, let me, I'll get to that in just a moment.
Okay,
There's
sure.
there's more to this story.
Okay.
We've been prematurely stopped.
I'm not sure I'm following the implication.
I was just trying to be on the same screen.
Yeah, well, let me clarify one thing, just so that we're clear. When I have lunches listed here, I'm specifically talking about a complete lunch. So
Correct.
it's the lunch, it's the
Correct.
salad bar, and it's the drink, it's that combination.
Correct.
So it's not an entree, that could still be a lunch. You could think of that as a lunch, so it could be a piece of pizza, that's a lunch, but that's not what that means. That means that 3 combination piece. Does that make sense? It's what we, under NSLP, is what we
Okay,
would
so
call
what you're
lunch.
saying is if they bought it as an à la carte, those 3 items, it's still considered a lunch, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if they buy them separately, like if they come up and buy 2 pieces and then come back and buy the 3rd, those don't fall under the lunch category, those fall under the à la
À la
carte category.
carte.
And that's kind of the piece I wanna
Okay,
tease
sure,
out a little
sure.
bit more on the next slide.
Okay, excellent.
Because it struck me as odd as well.
Okay, I was just on this slide because you were on this slide.
So this is essentially the same slide, but I've added a little bit of information plus another projection column for the following year. So to kind of come up with what's going on here, it seemed, what's actually happening here is, and it'll be obvious on the next slide, but what's actually happening here is we're selling lots of entrees. We're selling lots of entree-only items. And one of the reasons for that is because while the lunch price had gone up to $3.85 or $4 over the years, the entree-only price had been stuck fairly low. What is the current entree? $3.15. So you can get a slice of pizza for $3.15, or you can buy a complete lunch for $4. So a lot of people were just getting a slice of pizza, or whatever the lunch for the day was, and maybe even bringing their own stuff or what have you. Which I think is the primary reason why you're seeing this happening. They're buying more entrees, and they're buying less complete lunches. That's one of the reasons this is happening. So the other piece that I wanted to point out here is this percent of coupon lunch quantity. So this is in terms of actual numbers, so number of lunches that were sold and the percentage of them. So this is the complete lunch. This is what under NSLP is really the only thing that we essentially be providing kids. That's, you don't get all the other options for all intents and purposes. But the quantity of these percentage-wise has been increasing as the overall sales of complete lunches have been decreasing, which means that more and more kids who are qualified have been buying just the lunches, and less kids who aren't qualified have been buying à la carte items. So the people who don't have a problem and can afford it have been buying the à la carte stuff in one way or another. And it's across the whole spectrum. You'll see on the next slide because it breaks out the details of what was bought. But that's what's happening. They're buying all the stuff that they want, and they're not buying the complete lunches except for the kids who have to. This is showing the kids who have to buy the complete lunch, or they're going up in number.
Al, can I just get a clarification?
Mhm.
So I see that for fiscal year '26, the lost coupon sales are 173,000.
Mhm.
And then under sales, I see the lunches as 343,000.
Mhm.
So that's not including those coupons.
Right. This number is essentially made up. I look and say, how many kids did we, or would we, in this case, project? Would have gotten a coupon lunch, and we multiply it by the price of the lunch. That's it. So this number doesn't fall into these other
Okay.
pieces. This is more like informational, like had these people all paid for their lunch, that's how much additional revenue we would have received. Had these people all paid for their lunch, that's how much additional revenue we would have received. Does that kind of make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Al, question.
Yeah.
A la carte versus full lunch. A la carte, is it fair to say that that's generally weighted towards junior high?
Majority, yes.
Yes.
Big-
So
bigger
full lunch
kids.
is really at elementary school, so as we look at like kind of this inverse relationship, do
Do
we
the
really?
kids at elementary even do à la carte? Is that even an option?
At elementary, they can choose to have a second lunch, which would be charged as not entree only.
Okay, but they can't go up and buy like a cookie and a this and a that. It's either
Right, no,
buy a
they're-
lunch or buy another
Right,
lunch.
their first purchase is a complete lunch,
Got it.
correct?
But there is an option in some cases for additional items at the
Yes.
elementaries, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that a
The
specific
second
day?
lunch.
Or was there a specific cookie day at the elementary?
The elementary schools.
Ash
do
is
have
shaking her head,
cookies.
yes. She must buy them.
Cookie days are Tuesdays and Thursdays at the elementary schools, and then we do have a once a month snack item.
So the kids want to eat chips, cookies, and snack items, and
Mhm.
ice cream.
That's it?
It's a slide ahead.
Wow, so we have this
So I'll-
comprehensive research analysis.
I'm gonna jump to the next
We
slide.
just learned that kids want cookies, chips, and snacks.
The next slide is fascinating, but we're gonna come back to this one in just a second, because this is what our kids actually buy. So this is kind of an interesting breakdown for the last 2 years.
Yep.
Chips. This is not that interesting, that's what I'm saying.
I think it's fascinating.
I mean, it's, well, we just convened a blue ribbon commission here to determine that children want chips, cookies, and ice cream.
I heard
fruit of the
the
day
cookies
is
are
crushed.
absolutely amazing, and Quest has always been really good
I'm
at
sure
donating
they
to
are,
social.
but that's
That's
what
how
the kids
good they are.
want.
They are whole grain cookies.
We shouldn't have said that. Sales are gonna plummet tomorrow.
What was that?
They're delicious.
You never tell a kid.
But what's interesting is, take a look at the numbers just so far this year. So complete lunches, we've sold 66,000. Entree only, we've almost sold 40,000. So these entree numbers are massive. These are huge numbers. Entree, chips, cookies, they're huge numbers in terms of sales. They're very, very large numbers as a percentage of the whole, right? So the reason I'm pointing this out is because when we changed prices last year, all we really did was modify the complete lunch price, which arguably is one of the smaller levers that we can pull. We didn't really dig into the a la carte to any significant extent, or any of this menu stuff. And I think that was a mistake, because I think there's opportunities here to make a couple of adjustments to kind of refine the whole sales trajectory. So going back to the previous slide. So I needed to project out for next year to try and figure out kind of like what changes in prices might do, right, and how that might play out. So really what I needed to figure out is how much stuff we might sell next year. So it really came down to quantity. So that's why these quantity pieces are very important right here. So I use these previous years to plot a trajectory in terms of the lunches that were sold, and then I was looking to figure out what next year might hold. When I followed the trend line, if I did that, the a la carte sales went up too high. You can see where it kind of jumps up here. It seemed more realistic to find an average between this last year's sales and then kind of where the trend line would project. And that's kind of where I came up with my quantity sales for my projections for next year. Because if I followed the trend line, this 122 would have gone, this 405 would have gone, this would have been like 470, and I just didn't see that. There's no history of it jumping anywhere near that high. So we kind of found a happy medium between the two. And we did the same thing with the actual lunch sales. So again, they're decreasing, but I kind of slowed the rate of decrease essentially, kind of took the first derivative of the whole thing and slowed it down to about 114,000 from 122. So I think those are reasonable numbers to work with going into the future. And then once I had those numbers, then it's just a matter of multiplying what everything costs times what essentially the prices are. What the prices are times the quantities that we get our total sales. That's where our revenues and our expenditures come from. Our expenditures actually are a little bit less nuanced. Like I put time to figure out what the revenues are likely to be. I just looked at the expenditure trend, and right now I think we actually kind of we won't see a massive increase next year in expenditures like we did from FY24 to FY25. That's a significant number from 928 to, and it went down here, by the way, because we cut out all of that packaging and all that other stuff that we were doing. So we saw a significant decrease in expenditures between 23 and 24. But 24 and 25, it went up significantly because, well, there were a number of items. There were labor increases, there were minimum wage increases that affected Quest significantly. There were also items such as a new law that was passed that if we have, for instance, an e-learning day, we still have to pay everybody. So Quest wound up we paid them for no revenues that day because we closed the schools, but we still had to pay all their employees. So things like that kind of added up to basically boost the expenditure number for that day. So I don't see a huge increase. I only increased it about $28,000. I think that's reasonable. So that brings us to what our projections would be for next year. Again, the projections are guesses, but that's kind of the basis on where I came up with the numbers. If we go with those numbers, then we can actually make some kind of assumptions or make some changes to the prices in various categories and see how the overall net revenues or net profit plays out, right? net income, I guess would be the right term.
But so Al, just as it stands right now, the food costs, I mean, vary, right, as you're buying stuff. I mean, you're paying whatever the market perhaps costs at that particular month or week, whatever.
Yep.
But the price of the items is fixed through the whole calendar year?
Unless the board decides to fix it. It's totally up to you.
Well, I mean, I guess, to me, like, we have non-market reactive pricing. And so like, if the cost of a cookie goes up by 50 cents and we're still selling it for $1.60, we're shooting ourselves in the foot every time we sell a cookie.
Yeah, well, that's why we're having these conversations in the middle of the year instead of after, when I'm reviewing it kind of post-mortem.
Okay.
So honestly, that is an option that we would have even for this year, and we'll bring it up in one of the next slides. What are we gonna do to adjust for the $70,000 expected loss for this year? We have options, we could change our prices right now. Do we wanna do that? We'll get to that in a minute, but we do have those options, Chris, it's totally up to us.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, this is kind of what I'm projecting for next year. And I came up with numbers that actually get us into the red. I'm sorry, into the black. We're in the red. The color is red. I looked at it.
Accounting wonders now.
It's purplish red. That's what made me think red. So, but to do that, remember I was talking about that average a la carte item price? I need to get it up to about $1.59, whereas right now we're at about $1.42 projected. I need to do two things. I need to increase that to $1.59, and I need to increase the actual complete lunch price to $4.50. Those are the two things that we need to do to make this work. So to make that happen, the one is easy, the $4.50 lunch price, it's a one thing change and you're done. But the problem is that if it goes to $4.50 and we don't change the a la carte price, and you already see what's happening, they're buying all those entree only things and they're relatively inexpensive.
Bypassing.
So what we wanted to do, so the gray column is the proposed pricing, and this is still to be refined, this is our first shot at it, we can still adjust this if necessary, but right now, this is kind of where we're at. So we were talking about taking the entree only lunch to basically $3.80, and then combining that with basically the drink, right? Take the drinks to 70 cents, which then puts us at the same price as a complete lunch. So now there's no benefit, it's like buying a Happy Meal, right? Or not a Happy Meal, but a value meal at a place. You're better off buying the value meal than you are buying this component separately. This is the same logic that's being applied here to bring those two things up so we start boosting our lunch sales again and not depending on entree only, or if entree, and we're not losing either way because the price for the complete lunch went up and the price for the entree only went up as well.
But do we price people out at that point?
I don't think $3.80 is gonna price anyone out.
No, I'm saying, but going from $3.80 to $4.50, right? I
Well,
think
we're at
no,
four,
like
we're at
total,
four now.
right,
We're at four now.
Right.
Four, no, we're saying, but
Only,
going
he's
forward,
saying that,
yeah, but I'm
yeah.
saying going forward to $4.50, right? We saw a 15 cents increase last year.
Yeah, I don't think so, and the reason why is because of this slide right here. So this was provided by our Quest friends, and they did some local comparisons. And this is for this current year, so these prices are gonna increase in many cases for next year. And actually, I understand some districts are waiting for us to make our decision on what we're gonna do before they make their changes, but they're gonna follow our lead. So, yeah, we've already got districts that are significantly higher than where we're talking about being. We're only 20 cents higher than Mokina is right now, is what I'm suggesting. So no, we're not gonna price anybody out, not by a long shot. These prices are gonna go up for next year for everybody anyway.
But do we think people are gonna buy less, is what I'm saying, like, do we
Yes,
know?
yes,
So,
we do.
so then your projections
I
could
have that.
tank even lower.
Well, no, because I have that figured in, instead of following the trend, I've cut the trend down. So I'm still thinking there's gonna be an overall increase, but the rate of change is gonna go lower than it was before.
If we charge the same amount for the components, and you're saying we wanna push people into basically buying the full lunch. I mean, there's also the inverse of that where people will just buy it and just chuck in the garbage what they don't want, and that's just.
But then if they don't buy the third component, then they still pay the same price for the entree only and the drink. That's the point. It winds up being a wash. It winds up being a wash and there's no huge benefit. We won't see the entree thing spike like this and the lunches go down. They'll
Before we go
balance.
too far down the pricing path, which I think is entirely valid, there's another question. Why don't the kids want to buy the lunch?
Oh, they're buying our lunches. Did you see that
Well, I mean, the
numbers?
number of lunch sales has gone down.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the entree only is baked into the a la carte. They're buying more and more stuff. I mean, you look at the numbers, they're huge. They're buying a lot of stuff.
An a la carte item is just a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
just a piece of pizza.
versus
The
if I bought
complete
them.
meal is visiting the fresh fruit and salad bar unit and taking items
I
from
see.
that,
Yeah.
and then getting the cheeseburger and a milk.
Yeah.
I got
Do
you.
they have to think, can they have water instead of milk, or they?
Yes, they can have
Yeah.
chocolate milk, white milk, or water for their drink, yes. But they're skipping the fruits and vegetables bar, which makes it an à la carte item instead of a complete meal.
Got it.
And that also brings the whole price of the sale way down compared to.
So I get that
compared
at
to
junior
the-
high level, but at an elementary level, where it's complete lunches.
It's lunch or
Where,
nothing.
it's lunch or nothing. Where are we seeing? Are we seeing a decrease year over year of lunches being purchased? Because like right now, we're kind of really talking about a specific use case of junior high and middle school, right? Where the à la carte versus complete lunch.
But it doesn't account for K
But it
through
doesn't
4.
account for K through 4. So as we're talking about, hey, this projection is gonna go lower, what does the elementary building look like of people that are getting a lunch year over year? Is that continuing to go down? And I think go back to Chris's question is why?
To answer your question, I don't know, because I didn't break it out at the school level. I'm looking at the numbers in aggregate.
But I think
I
that's,
can do that.
I do think that's
but-
an important distinction because that's an entirely different scenario. Because I think everything you're saying, Al, makes complete sense 5th through 8th grade. And there's a compelling argument that we're gonna have to do something on pricing at the à la carte level to address that discrepancy. But I'm not sure without data that that's true for K through 4. And I don't know, it could be, and we just don't know. Are they buying more lunches or are they buying less lunches in aggregate year to year?
Do we have any information on whether other districts split the lunch prices between different levels? Do they do that? I don't know.
Not in my world, I can ask.
You haven't seen that before? Okay.
And that was kind of my question on these other districts, and I know there's different food services, and Quest is one of them. Do you know which services they use here, or are any other ones yours that you service from Mokina, Orland, Lamont, Downers Grove, or Darien?
Orland is a Quest account.
Okay,
Lamont is not, Downers Grove is, Darien and Mokina are not.
okay, so in
Sort of
Downers
split.
Grove, it's $4.60, in Orland, it's $4.
But we also don't know if they're getting reimbursed, right? Because their school districts could be being reimbursed
Right.
or reintroduced.
Yeah, so like Orland, they get reimbursed on their milk program.
Yeah, these are not gonna be reimbursable lunch prices, for the most part, but they might have a portion, like you said, a milk program might be reimbursable. It would
Okay,
be
so
separate
Orland has
from
a
this.
milk program reimbursed.
At
Do you-
one point, we had the milk program as well.
Well, do you see the same trend in Orland and Downers Grove, since you have Quest there about à la carte? Kids buying more à la carte rather than lunches, so I mean, it's not just our district, it's
No.
the other two that accounts you have, is it similar?
The one menu item, yeah, you see that more of a trend than going for the full menu. I think the one benefit that Homer Glen definitely has is that salad bar. And I think of it as an educational piece where our staff, the lunch crew can direct them to that to make sure that they are getting a piece of it. Where at some places, just like I think someone said, they're putting green beans on the plate and it's going right to the trash. Where here, there's a variety where you can get oranges, apples, or vegetables and put that on your plate and choose, right?
And we have seen the kids, when we visited, the amount of fruits
They
and
eat the
vegetables
oranges.
that they eat is crazy.
Yeah, the younger age groups are great about
Yeah,
visiting
they
the
are,
bar.
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and I love that about this district, for sure.
I mean,
Well, I mean-
I think we need to change our prices, but I
Yeah.
think we need to be thoughtful about how we do that, so.
I mean, food prices are just outrageous.
Well,
Just in
that's, so
general. I
that's
mean,
part
you
of the
can't,
thing,
you
like,
know,
I think
you
our
know.
pricing model needs to be reflective of the food price.
We'll just do it like at the nice restaurants, market price.
Basically, yeah. But I do think it needs to be adjusted at least annually with that,
Definitely.
with that in
Definitely,
consideration,
yes.
like,
And
we.
that's exactly what we're doing.
Yes, it's exactly.
We're
It's
literally having a
exactly, I think
conversation.
that's exactly what we need to do, given the data you've given us.
No, don't raise the
I mean,
cookie
we last
prices,
had this
I'm spending a lot of
conversation
money on
exactly
cookies.
I think we should raise the
Missy
cookie prices.
loves the
That's
cookies,
going
whole
on.
grain
I
or
get
not.
an email every day, she bought a cookie.
So you only
She
wanna
bought a
raise the
pie.
price of
cookie
cookies
at
5
$1.
cents?
It's only 5-cent increase.
Is that what you're telling
It's
me?
only a 5-cent
5 cents?
increase.
That's the preliminary
more.
version of this. So, the à la carte prices, we don't actually have approved on the fee schedule or anything, we only have the lunch price set on the fee schedule. The à la carte prices do vary, and sometimes things come on and things go off. which is the other piece of this. There's items on there that we've already discussed, we have to clean up the menu. There's way too many menu items of various types that are on there, so we're gonna clean that mess up as well.
So this pricing that you're proposing, Al, does this get you to the $1.59 average that you're looking for?
Yeah, so if you look at that sheet, right there.
Oh, there it
That
is.
gets
I'm
us
sorry,
to
it was right in front of me. I
It's
missed
in
it.
green.
We need a better
Come on,
market.
Al, I've had enough of your attitude today. You have used up all your free strikes.
We need a better marketing program for the jumbo pretzel with cheese. We've sold one.
I saw that.
And there's I mean, I left everything on here, I didn't cull anything, but there's some items that, there were situations where we didn't have a menu item for something you might have had on a given day, or there was a situation where somebody might have hit the wrong button on a register. So there's a little bit of error in those bottom items that are on that list.
I'm concerned about the rest of the pretzels sitting on the rack.
Is there
They gotta be hard by now.
We're not taking them down until someone buys.
Is there,
Discount
I mean,
McDonald's.
if they're buying jumbo pretzels with cheese, or that one person is, I mean, is there a lot of food waste there? I mean, you have to have a certain amount there for the kids, right, or how does that
We
work?
don't actually have the jumbo pretzel with cheese.
We don't have.
We had one.
No.
It's an error.
All right, so, okay, let's go with something out, well, let's go in general, food waste, is there a lot of food wastes?
I'll let you guys
Food
speak to
waste.
that.
We do the best that we can with the lunch counts that are collected by the teachers in the morning.
Okay.
And they have a shared document that goes down to their cafeteria,
Yes.
and then we project off of those numbers
I see.
to provide the right amount of food when their class comes into the cafeteria.
Okay, so that's how you project the lunches, I know they
Well,
used to
what
do
your
it
food
that way,
waste is based
so.
on what you think the demand for the day is gonna be versus how much you produce. We don't really know how much kids just.
So you guys always over
Wendy?
a little bit, right?
I was gonna say, Wendy's in the lunchroom, the younger building, the really young.
Now, with our buildings combining next year, the middle school and junior high, do we expect to see some efficiency with spoilage and food waste?
So I gotta get to that slide.
All right.
There's another slide.
Another slide.
We're just way ahead of the
There's only 6
slides
slides in
here.
this.
I know, sorry.
To get to the 6th one.
Way ahead.
I do have a question though, and
Yeah.
Wendy, I am just gonna ask you, do you find that the kids are throwing milk out of the younger buildings? Like, is there something they're not eating that we're wasting more, like, if we went from an entree to a lunch? No?
The 1975.
Okay.
This is making me very hungry. I didn't know.
You're hungry?
Very hungry. I was hoping there was gonna
Chris is
be
ready for a complete lunch.
a complete lunch at my board seat, and there was not.
Okay, so that brings us to what hopefully is the last slide of this whole thing.
Keep hoping.
You know, you're very punchy tonight.
Yeah, he is.
So other considerations, you brought up a good point. So I guess we'll jump to that one first. So new addition considerations, what you were asking about. You're right, we have opportunities, but there are also gonna be challenges. It's a brand new facility, it's a brand new kitchen, it's a brand new situation, and the kids, everything's new. I'm assuming that we're going to incur additional expenses until we find how to refine that to get the, for instance, the labor correct and everything else. And we really know how to handle, I mean, it's a brand new schedule, it's brand new everything. Like, everything's gonna be handled differently next year at these 2 buildings. So
We have established that it is new.
I guess the long and short of it, I would say, is that in the short term, I think it's going to be more expensive until we dial it in. But in the long term, I think we have a lot of opportunities and it'll actually be less expensive. We've talked about some things like, for instance, and you could speak to this better, but like possibly satelliting more food, because now we have a beautiful kitchen and a good open place to work, as opposed to essentially cubby holes in some of the existing buildings. I mean, look at the Gooding Grove kitchen, you can barely even turn around. So there might be opportunities, and that way we can actually prepare and deliver even better food coming from that kitchen, more fresh than what we even were able to do now. So I think we got opportunities and also a few challenges with the new addition. So satelliting opportunities and the growing pains and long-term opportunities, that's essentially what I was thinking. I don't see a lot else going on there until we actually dial it in and get through, a good quarter or so and really understand how that's gonna play out. The other piece, so current year opportunities, we're still looking at that $70,000 deficit, right, which I don't like, but we're talking about some opportunities there. So what were you guys thinking, for instance?
Yeah, so we're just analyzing our staffing plans right now in the schools, making sure that, you know, if volume's low right now, what does the staffing model look like? Is it necessary? So just reviewing that right now with Jen and then also presenting it to the district, to see if there's modifications. Not putting anyone out of position, but possibly relocating down the road to Lockport or Orland temporarily just till we get this right. Next week, taking advantage of spring break, we actually have our culinary team coming out. We'll take a look at Jen's menus. There's some cool things that are happening in other districts that we want to try out here to entice the students, to try out different things on our menus. So just see what we can do to get the kiddos to come up to the register and check out the full meal. Different things like snack packs that could become a full meal equivalent. Tie it with milk and a salad bar and we're good to go. So just different options. Also looking at waste and also want to take a look at our inventory. So it's very unique out here with 6 different schools. If you do truly go back into one of the cubby areas where we cook out of, the shelves are not overflowing with product, but we want to make sure that we're getting the accurate counts, and then when Jen's putting it together, her inventory, that her unit of measures are correct and the pricing is updated and correct to the prices of the product that she's bringing in now. So we're going to take advantage of next week, do a full scrub on Jen's back of the house processes and just make sure everything's right and try to catch anything right now for the last stretch of the school year.
Is there any advantage to maybe having a student survey as to what they don't like, what they would like to see?
Yeah, we've had a couple food committees already, and I always say, you know, let's keep them going each month and at different grade levels, just to get different palates and tastes and
But do
excitement
the students have any input at all?
It's with
Yes.
them.
Oh, it's with
Yes.
them? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, we've done several at Hadley with 5th and 6th graders. We've
Okay.
done 1st grade through 4th grade at
Okay.
Schilling. We take into account what they suggest and what they offer to us, and we've come across, I think, even at Schilling, they offered turkey and cheese subs. And it's
Soup and sandwiches.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
so, and that's been on our menu the last 2 months after we did that.
Okay.
So Hadley, they wanted donuts. So
Okay.
our January special was the whole grain donut holes and powdered sugar, the snowballs in a bag. So we're taking their consideration and.
And that was
making it-
successful then?
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know.
You know, and also I want to say, you know, our procurement teams are really dialed in right now, especially with the changes happening and market prices. So if the whole grain cookie skyrocketed, right, and it's gonna outweigh the price that we're selling it at, there's alerts coming out constantly to the field to let us know, either switch to this product or, you know, just halt your purchase on it for a while and we'll put it back online, or here's an alternative.
You will have some really upset children.
Oh, I know that. I know that, but, you know, there's constant communication to make sure that we're doing the right thing, being good stewards, so.
Are there any parent input, or is there anything that you get from parents or requests, or?
So we actually did a parent survey last
Okay.
year, and we got a lot of input from it. I can't think of anything offhand right now because Tim kind of reviewed a lot of it. Do you have any trends that you can recall from that survey, kind of what they were picking out at us?
Yeah, so overall, I think a lot of the parents, there's a little misconception, they're not aware of the salad bars that are available to the students. Especially, and I see it from the email side, when parents are emailing me going, hey, can you reverse this charge? I have 3 cookies on my student's account, and he didn't get 3 cookies. And then I go and look at the video, and sure enough, that kid's excited and going back from work.
Oh.
So they find, I see it as a little bit of a newfound freedom of getting to make choices on their own. And mom and dad not standing over their shoulder going, oh, no, you can't get that, you have to get the apple. So there's a little bit of, you know, you got influence from your friends, you got influence from having that freedom, but then you also have mom and dad saying yes or no what you can get. So I think there's definitely some opportunities to maybe guide the kids and also educate the parents. So during like open house, making the quest more visible and making sure that the parents, these new parents coming in who really go to the open house are excited, here's what's available, here's what a complete lunch includes, and they've got this beautiful salad bar. And the kids can choose if they want carrots or oranges or whatever the case may be. So a little bit of both, educating the parents, because the parents are ones that are putting the money in the account. And making sure that they know what healthy choices are available. And then also encouraging the kids to be able to make those healthy choices and balance out their diets and eat well so they can learn during the day. I think there could be a collaborative effort.
So, I mean, if a child comes up for his fourth cookie, there's no one to say, that's it, you
Well,
know?
we've sold 122,000. Not working.
No, I just don't know, then you
They're
say,
whole grain.
well, this is your
We already
fourth
discussed
cookie,
this.
I
They're
don't think
whole
this
grain.
is a good idea, I
I
don't
think it
know.
all came out of Mrs. account, so we should.
Yeah, my daughter has had double Bosco sticks, and I think I may have called and said,
So
did
what I
she? And
actually
yep,
see
she
here,
did.
I'm gonna roll up in my SUV, open the trunk and sell non-whole grain cookies. 48 cents and I'm gonna clean
But what Kim was saying, one of the things she mentioned was the open house piece, and that goes straight to what somebody else had mentioned about letting the community in to see our brand new facilities and such. We thought that that would be a great opportunity to not only showcase the new lunchroom, the new lunch facility, the whole facility, right, when people are coming in for open house. That'll be 4 whole grade levels of kids come, or kids and parents coming here. But actually have Quest actually put something on and have like a little spread or some snacks or whatever so that the parents can actually kind of see how this whole thing works and get a taste of the kind of food that we're serving and the quality of that food, et cetera. So that was kind of one of the also thoughts that we had going forward into next year.
I think it's a good idea.
And then the last piece is, and Kim briefly spoke to it, but some of the student wellness opportunities. So we've been talking about ways that we can actually help the kids make those good choices. And I'm going to kind of defer to Kim because she's healthy and I'm not. But she had some great ideas in terms of like some stickers and stuff that we can actually do for putting on the lunches themselves and like letting the kids show off that they made healthy choices for the day. Almost like a I voted kind of sticker, depending on what they did. So
I think adults should do that too.
Extra credit.
Or maybe a sticker that smells, a
Can
smelly sticker.
you remind me, when our kids go through, they go through with a card? Correct, so like that scanning thing, so there'd be a 5-minute difference for the cookies, so they're scanning their cards when they go through.
Correct.
And when they buy the lunch, does it list like milk, entree, salad? I mean, because I think some parents may not even know the difference between when a child buying the entree.
You're correct.
Okay.
It literally says complete lunch, that's what
And
it
some of the
says.
parent survey was also offer more fruits and vegetables, which is what we exactly do with
Yeah.
our salad bar. So some of the parents weren't aware of that because when they do get charged, it says a complete meal or an entree only.
Okay.
And that can be discerned for the parents to know what exactly it
Is
is
the
that they.
complete lunch?
I guess
Yeah,
they
but
could
rather
coordinate
than
the calendar,
complete
right?
lunch.
Could we say like, I don't know, could we say like, entree,
There's a limitation to how many
Oh, okay,
characters you can
okay,
put in there.
okay.
So it's one item on the TOS,
I
and you
got
can
you,
only make
okay.
it so long of a line.
Can I ask a push coin question?
Sure.
I know I get the emails every time Gia purchases, but is that because I selected that, or is that because parents automatically get the emails every time somebody purchases?
You have to opt out.
I'm okay getting the emails,
Yeah.
but for those parents that maybe don't know.
Everybody gets
so
it, is my
you
point.
get-
okay,
As soon as you
so
create the
there's-
account, you get them until you go and turn it off.
See, these poor kids are getting in trouble.
Down to $9, I gotta add money soon.
We were putting together in May a Lucky Tray Day, which would be something to look for the complete meals. So a child goes through the line, has a complete meal. Secretly, they'll get a sticker stuck on the bottom of their plate as they check out with their push coin account. And then they'll go sit down and we'll make an announcement, who has a sticker will get a little prize.
A whole grain cookie? Sorry.
The cookies are, and that's not a joke, my kids say cookies very serious.
So,
Yes, they do.
so where this is all going is upcoming, there's a motion to approve the fee schedule. And the only thing that's on the fee schedule that we would be approving at this point would be the change in the lunch price to the $4.50. If that's something that you're not comfortable with doing at this point and you wanted me to come back with more data, I mean, we still have time, it's for next year, but I'd like to get it set as quickly as possible. But right now, that would be my recommendation, is to change that price to $4.50, and then we'll dial in the à la carte pieces based on kind of what I showed you as a starting point, and then make any adjustments, deletions, whatever is necessary to make it make sense.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? We're all good? Okay, thank you.
Actually, just one comment, sorry. I just want to say thank you to Quest.
Yes.
You guys have been tremendous partners, and through COVID and through everything, I know it's been difficult, but we appreciate it. And we'll figure this out, we'll dial this in.
Thank you so much.
You guys are a very good program, because I was here when we had the other program, I can't remember what it is, and when Quest first came, I actually went to a different school district to their lunch to see what Quest was giving, and I actually sat with the kids and asked them how they liked their lunches and everything like that. They liked it. So Quest you guys are a very good program, so.
And I think also adding that Jen is part of our community, that she's dialed in to our community, she lives, and I think that's really important too, because you see these kids day in, day out, whether you're in the building or outside of the building.
Thank you.
All right, Al?
Okay. So
6C.
the next item is about the athletic summer camps, and Jen Jeffries came with the foot and everything to talk us through.
So here's our proposal for the 2025 Homer 33 summer camps. The camps are $10 an hour for each camp, and each camper will receive a t-shirt. So these are I talked to all the coaches, and these are the camps that we would have for this coming summer, and it would be girls volleyball. It's 4th through 8th grade. They'll have 2 sessions. They'll be broken down from 4th to 6th, and then 7th through 8th. 5 days, 2 hours a session. The cost is $100. Boys volleyball, they will have also 5th through 8th. All grade levels will be together 5 days a week, times 2 hours is $100. Moving on to girls basketball, 5th through 8th grade, they'll also have 2 sessions, 5th through 6th, 7th through 8th, 5 days a week, 2 hours a session, $100 will be the cost. Boys basketball, they do 3 sessions. They do 4th through 5th together, 6th grade, and then 7th through 8th. They're gonna go 4 days a week because that Juneteenth falls in there, so I know the buildings are closed, we had a little problem last year. So 4 days a week, 3 hours a session, and that comes to $120 for each camp. And then we'll have speech squad camp, which is 5th through 8th, they also do 2 sessions, 5th through 6th, and then 7th through 8th, 4 days a week, 2 hours a session, that cost is $80. Does anybody have any questions about the summer camps?
What's our capacity? I'm just trying to see if I can find that for each camp.
I'm not quite sure what that is, but I know volleyball, they usually get a lot, and I know at one point they had about 60, but they do have 3 coaches there working with the girls, so.
Do we have a max? Do we have a cap?
That I don't, I'm not sure if there's a cap on it.
I think we actually do, and I think it's written into the verbiage regarding summer camps in the appendices of the bargaining agreement, if I remember correctly. And it's not simple, it's complicated.
It's contractual.
Okay. I just was curious for opportunity, for.
Right, and then the camps, I believe they close that Friday before the camp starts and that Monday. And sometimes we do have parents that forgot to sign up, so they've contacted Kim and we do let them, they're able to join. So we can have a little leeway with that.
So these costs are sufficient to wash the expense of these?
So, since you asked.
You got a slide for that?
I got a slide for that.
Oh.
Okay.
So there's the outcome of last year's summer camps. Overall, you can see what each camp made. Some made, some lost. Overall, it came out positive, about just under $10,000 for the summer. And now it's not direct, this actually goes into the general coffers, but that's one of the reasons why we've been able to make a lot of the improvements that we've been making, if you think about the last few years in terms of our athletic facilities. I mean, we just put in 2 brand new scoreboards over here in this gym. We've got a brand new scoreboard at Butler in the field, in the ball field. I mean, we're putting a lot of money into the facilities, and this is helping to offset some of those things.
Okay. I think that's fair. I mean, I think our goal should either somewhat revenue positive, but
Oh, this doesn't quite make up for the lunch program?
No, it doesn't. It does not now.
But it helps.
Summer band camp, we're gonna have to go talk to those guys and figure out what they're doing.
And
Okay.
so what, some of our other sports, like golf and baseball, traditionally offer those, or?
You know, we did have a baseball camp, but, you know, the coaches decided that they do not want to have one. So, you know, I reached out to all the coaches to find out who wanted to have a summer camp. And that list that we had were the coaches that responded. It's the same as last year, so that's what we go by, you know.
I think
Reach
the
out.
only difference is that one of these was 4 sessions and this year they're doing 5, or 4 days and now they're
Right,
doing
and
5.
that's because of that Juneteenth, because the schools
Oh, is
are
that what it was?
closed. That's why it went down to that. They
Got it.
went last year, but there was some issues with the coding, so I talked to Coach Gage, and he said, yeah, that's fine, we'll just go for the 4 days. So, and that's the same with the speech, that falls in that same week, so. And hopefully next year, you know, we're bringing soccer on and stuff like that, that maybe, you know, I'm still in the process of finding a coach, but maybe the coach that's here would like to have a camp. So, you know, there's room to add to this, but right now this is who responded that they wanted to have a
And I
camp.
just had a parent this morning tell me how excited that she was.
I know,
that
there
we
are a
had
lot of
soccer.
people excited, so, yes.
Oh, about soccer?
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
like she was very excited, so that was good to hear.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, we're seeking a motion and a second to approve the 2025 athletic summer camps and fees.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Roll call?
Disha?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Tracia?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
And Hudson?
Yes, motion passes. 6D, Al, fee schedule.
So this is the fee schedule. I believe the only changes that would be on here would be the change to the overall lunch price to $4.50 instead of $4. And then I did include here, because we had a call out on the lunch schedule, the price for the drinks, so the milk or the water, that would change from, was it 55? It was 55 before, right, to 70? So those would be the 2 changes that are on the schedule that would not be the same as last year.
Okay, and are you gonna separately propose changes to à la carte?
We've never put those on
Or
in
you're
general.
saying we're just gonna change
We just
them,
adjust those.
but they don't go on here?
They don't go on here, yeah, because they change, like the à la carte items can change often, so.
Okay.
Sometimes we bring things on, and if there would be no way to get you to approve them, we just put them on the menu.
Okay.
All right, we are seeking a motion and a second to approve the fee schedule for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Martin?
Yes.
Tracia?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
Disha?
Yes.
And Hudson?
Yes. Okay, 7A.
This is an informational item. Dr. Perkwood put this together. He mentioned earlier, all the teachers that attain tenure status. This includes teachers going from first to second year, second and third, and so forth.
All right, 7B, we are seeking a motion and a second to approve Carmel Hope as the 2025 ESY principal with a salary of $4,400.
Second?
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Tracia?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
Disha?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And Hudson?
Yes, motion passes. 7C, we're seeking a motion and a second to approve increasing Alexa Bell, occupational therapist, FTE from .5 FTE to .6 FTE.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
Unique situation.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
Disha?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Tracia?
Yes.
And Hudson?
Yes, motion passes. 7D, we are seeking a motion and a second to approve the resolution authorizing the reduction in force of the following full-time educational support personnel effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Megan Haynes, Media Center Assistant at Hadley Middle School.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Chanarana? Yes. DeFilippis? Yes. Deschamps?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Trezier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
And Hitzman?
Yes, motion passes. All right, 7E, this is in regards to the custodians that Tim Russ was talking about earlier. We are seeking a motion and a second to approve 2 FTE custodians for Hadley Middle School and Homer Junior High School due to the expansion for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
DeFilippis? Yes. Deschamps?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Trezier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chandler?
Yes.
And Hitzman?
Yes, motion passes. All right, 7F. We are seeking a motion and a second to approve the 2025, 2026 through 2027, 2028 Homer District 33C Support Staff Council of the American Federation of Teachers Local 604 bargaining agreement for wages, benefits, and other terms and conditions of employment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call please.
Deschamps?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Trezier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
And Hitzman?
Yes, motion passes. Just want to say that the board has had pleasure working with the support staff, negotiating team, and thank you for that, all that you do for our district, so thank you. 7G. This is in regards to the units of study from the curriculum department. We are seeking a motion and a second to approve units of study, grades K to 1, Imagine Learning, grades 2 to 5, and Study Sync, grades 6 to 8 for English Language Arts instruction.
So moved.
Any other further questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Martin?
Yes.
Trezier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
Deschamps?
Yes.
And Hitzman?
Yes, motion passes. 7H. Al, did you have any comments here?
Yeah, so we went through a bid process for one of the projects that Tim had mentioned in terms of some, was that on your list, the flooring piece? Yes, it was. And unfortunately, due to timing, at this particular moment in time, we're gonna recommend that the board reject all of the bids that we received.
All right. We are seeking a motion and a second to reject all bids for project number 2025-1, flooring 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trezier?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Chanarana?
Yes.
DeFilippis?
Yes.
Deschamps?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And Hitzman?
Yes, motion passes. 7I, I think, Al, did you want to have any further comment? I know that.
I'll just hit them very quickly. You know about the TRIA project authorization, the Inspect project proposal, the ECS Midwest, the roofing in the courtyards at Goodings Grove. The next one is a SecureLink renewal. That's a technology item. It's our filter for a 5-year renewal for $236,000. The item after that is a school psychologist, a contract employee school psychologist for the remainder of the school year for special services. The next 2 items are the actual costs for Imagine Learning and Study Sync, that we would be approving the purchase of those 2 items. And then the ejector pump for $25,000 or $24,995. And then the last one is the Spaces for Play, which is the repairs at the Schilling playground. And I just wanted to mention that didn't get bid because we're about purchasing that through co-op, just like we did for the Goodings Grove one. If it was otherwise over $50,000, we would have to go bid for it.
All right.
Okay.
We're seeking a motion and a second to authorize architectural and engineering work related to painting at Homer Junior High and Hadley Middle School, engineering work related to repairs and expansion of the parking lot at Goodings Grove School, courtyard mansard roofing replacements at Goodings Grove School, a 5-year renewal of our internet content filtering service, a contracted school psychologist, ELA resources and licenses for 5 years for grades 2 to 8, repairs to ejector pumps at the administration office, and playground improvements at Schilling School in the estimated total amount of $1,340,480.76.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, roll call, please.
Wolf,
Yes.
Shawna,
Yes.
De Filippis,
Yes.
Deschamps.
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Trezia,
Yes.
and Hudson.
Yes, motion passes. Item 8, any future board meeting agenda items?
Candace had mentioned the English learners, that we have a higher, how many classrooms did you say?
I mean, not full classroom,
Yeah.
so if we were to estimate the numbers, about a full class of students, not that they're all in the same
Yeah.
classroom. Okay, yeah, about 1/3 grade level, second, third, and fourth.
I guess I wouldn't mind having an update about that program, I mean, like we have with the Thrive and the SI, but kind of where we're at and.
Okay, would the board like that update then?
Sure.
Yes?
Sure. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, item 10, we're to adjourn, we're gonna finish. We're seeking a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Say, do you want, should I do the aye or do you want individual people for this? All in favor say aye, all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, no one said no, so we can go.
Thanks for joining us this evening.
No objection.